I believe it, you will see it, the writing on the wall. It's for reason, not for malice, that we watch them fall. The amazing atheist. The amazing atheist. Have you seen it? The stupidity of the ones around you. Can you feel it? The need to rise up from the pit of destitute. The amazing atheist. The amazing atheist. Forging unity, the time is coming to annihilate the ignorant, peddling scum, breathing anger, exhale wisdom, suffocate the indifference. No more complacency. The amazing atheist. The amazing atheist.
Isn't this just the plot for V for Vendetta? You know? Like, the pandemic spreads across the land, and then the civil unrest begins, and then the bold leader promises the people he can restore order. The only thing that's not going to happen is we're not going to have some masked hero come save us after we've given away all of our fucking basic freedoms. That'll be the major difference between V for Vendetta and what's going on now. But the lead up, remarkably similar, like, right? Because that movie, pandemic, killed a bunch of people. Everyone got scared. There was riots and civil unrest. And then authoritarianism. Well, let's hope we got steps 1 and 2 down, and we got step 3 trying real bad to happen. So let's hope it doesn't quite get there. I'm glad most of you liked the theme song, by the way. The link for the guy who made it is in the description. And for those of you who said it was cringe, fuck you. There was only like 7 of you, and I thought there'd be more, you know? Especially in this stream when before I even started streaming, there's already a fucking onslaught of boo, boo. Oh, poor babies. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your precious little feelings. Didn't know you were so sensitive. Actually, I did. So let's get right into shit, right? Yeah. Let's do this. Bloop. I'm going to minimize this just a smidgen. Make a little more room for our benevolent leader, Donald Trump. The United States of America will be designating Antifa as a terrorist organization. Oh, snap. Finally, them angry college kids are going to get what's coming to them. You're like Al-Qaeda, bitch. Yeah, remember that? Remember all the people Antifa killed? Such as, remember that one time they, yeah, we don't like them. We don't like them. They've never bombed anything. They never killed anyone, but, whatever. Terrorists. Let's go to the Hills article about this. We can skip the first bit. Just explains that the fucking tweet was made, which is patently obvious by anyone. Just look at the fucking tweet. So, this is Attorney General fucking Bob Barr, William Barr, I think, actually. Bob Barr was a libertarian candidate a few years back. I get them confused. He said the Justice Department would seek to identify criminal organizers and instigators amid the demonstrators. Okay, real good. He also said the violence instigated and carried out by Antifa and other similar groups in connection with rioting is domestic terrorism and will be treated accordingly. Interesting stuff. So, here's the more pertinent bit to me. There is currently no domestic terrorism statute, nor does the federal government have the ability to designate a domestic group as a terrorist organization, fueling questions about what the designation would mean in practical terms. The American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, blasted Trump's announcement on Sunday, saying it shows that terrorism is an inherently political label, easily abused and misused. There is no legal authority for designating a domestic terrorist group, the group's National Security Project Director, Hina Shamsi, said in the statement. Any such designation would raise significant due process and First Amendment concerns. Trump had publicly considered labeling the anti-fascist movement as a terrorist organization last year, tweeting, would make it easier for police to do their job. Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez criticized Trump's announcement, noting that she had questioned the FBI on why domestic terrorism labels are not used for white supremacist groups. They testified that the law preventing labeling U.S. groups as terrorists with severe civil liberties concerns, she wrote on Twitter. Where is that concern today? I don't know. Where'd it go? So I'm going to go a little further than the ACLU here. They say that, they say that this is this is a threat to freedom of speech or whatever language they use. Oh, this is a thorny issue for freedom of speech. No, this is the outright death of freedom of speech if it's enacted as Trump wants it to be. Because there's a clear process here. It's the same thing that happened when Bush, after 9/11, passed the Patriot Act. We need this new surveillance network, and we need all these new, we need to cut the red tape, let the law enforcement agencies be more streamlined, not as much barriers to them doing their jobs, make their jobs easier. Basically, same rhetoric Trump was using about Antifa a second ago. We need to make things easier for law enforcement to deal with these terrorists. That was the George W. Bush line. Of course, they passed the Patriot Act, and lo and behold, did they only use it on terrorists? Oh, nope. A scant few years later, we found out that they were spying on everyone, that they were cataloging everything that everyone was saying anywhere at any time, as long as they're online or texting or whatever the fuck. These sorts of provisions are ripe for abuse, and I think we can see the pattern. I mean, like, if you're not a fucking retard, if you're not a bootlicker, you can see the fucking pattern here. Step 1, declare Antifa terrorists. Step 2, declare all protesters Antifa. Step 3, defeat freedom of speech once and for all. Rid us of the... Because look, I know a lot of you guys are going to hinge this. Oh, well, you're talking about the First Amendment, but the First Amendment says the right of the people peaceably to assemble, TJ, peaceably. Are you really going to make the argument that these protests going on right now are peaceful? Well, yeah, most of them are. You know, there's a shit ton of protesters. There's also a shit ton of rioters. But there's a lot of people out there peacefully protesting right now. And guess what? There's a lot of people, particularly in the of the right-wing bent, that are not making a whole hell of a lot of distinction between the people standing around holding signs and the people throwing rocks and setting police cars on fire and setting targets on fire and looting fucking businesses and shit. They're not making much of a fucking distinction there. That to them, it's all just one thing. So we've already seen their tendency to fucking do it. So what happens? Trump gets his way. All of a sudden, Antifa is a terrorist organization. Let's say we want to do a peaceful protest. We don't like something that the government is up to. So we go out and we say, this is bullshit. We make our little placards. We make our little signs. Yeah, down with this fucking law they're trying to pass or whatever the fuck is going on. The cops send in an agent provocateur to go smash a few windows and shout, anarchy, or whatever the fuck. And the next thing we know, the entire protest is labeled Antifa. And guess what? All you motherfuckers standing around holding your placards, you're terrorists. And we're going to deal with you. This is America? That's what you want? You want an America where you can't fucking criticize the government? Because that's where you're headed. And if you think I'm wrong, if you think that there's some fallacy present in my thinking, there isn't. You're wrong, you stupid fuck. This is a fucking disaster. You know, people want to, a lot of people have been asking me lately, TJ, are you an anarchist now? No, I'm not an anarchist. I'm not a fucking anarchist. I mean, I'm open to it. If we can come up with some way to make anarchy feasible, okay, sure, cool, let's do that. But as far as I'm concerned, right now, it's not feasible. You need a state. But just because I oppose the shitty state that's in place, that doesn't mean I'm a fucking anarchist. It just means I want a better fucking state. I've never been one of these people who makes the argument about government of quantity. There seems to be a lot of people concerned very much with the quantity of government, you know? We can't have, we don't want a big government, you know? We want small government. Or maybe they're the opposite. We want big government. We want all these programs, all this stuff. To me, size is not what fucking matters, okay? You need a quality government. You need a government that's responsive to the needs of its citizens. And if you don't have that, then eventually, after people are sick and fucking tired of being fucked over, eventually they decide to riot. Starts with a few protests, right? Here's a protest. Here's a march. Here's us going, woo, yeah, you can't fucking divide us. And we're holding up this sign, and I'm wearing a fucking hat that looks like a vagina. Woo, we're gonna take on the oppressor. And then nothing happens. And then they do it again, and nothing happens. And they do it again with 1 million people, and nothing fucking happens. They do it again with 2 million people, nothing fucking happens. They protest all over the fucking country, nothing fucking happens. So eventually, they say, fuck this shit. They start burning shit down. They start lighting cop cars on fire. They start having some fucking fun. And then it's like, oh, look at these animals. Why can't they just protest peacefully? P-test prostfully. Why can't it be peaceful? Where's the peace? You ignored the peace, bitch. You know? You decided you were more mad about Colin Kaepernick kneeling down on the fucking football field than you were about Derek Chauvin kneeling down on George Floyd's neck. And here we are. And then you want to wash your hands. Oh, I had nothing to do with this. Is all just irrational stuff. They don't have, the protesters, the rioters, they don't have any kind of point or anything. They're just bad people. I don't have to listen to them because they're the bad guys. Yeah, Antifa, that's the ticket. Oh, it was Antifa what done it. They're the ones who created the socioeconomic conditions that led to this. Well, I mean, no, that's not what I mean. Socioeconomic conditions had nothing to do with this. Nothing. It was all evil people, bad guys, sowing the seeds of discord. You know, it was them. It was the bad people. Ooh, the boogeyman. Ooh, there's a communist behind every tree, behind every bush, hiding under every rock. Is there a communist under these papers that I use to smoke my legal tobacco? Is there a communist under this stupid nightlight thing? Is there a communist under my notes for this show? Wait, there is. There he is. I found him. Bad communist, bad. Get out of here. Quit sowing seeds of dissent. You guys ever notice that every time you read about an authoritarian government or like a fascist or something, one of the first things that you read when you're reading about him is like, then he cracked down on all of the dissenters. Like, you think there might be a reason why that is? I don't know. I'm just a crazy guy wearing stupid fucking makeup and yammering to the people and drinking my delicious Coke Zero Sugar. Just as good as real Coke, only not. Does leave less of a weird residue on your teeth, though. That's kind of nice, I guess. So I have given my moderators wide latitude to kick people the fuck out of here if they start talking stupid shit. So be warned, idiots. Your time may be short. Anywho, we'll get back to the major issues of the day in a second. First, let's talk about some comments I received. Oh, and by the way, Streamlabs and Super Chats, they are open. You can submit to them. They will be read at the end of the broadcast. But, don't let that stop you from sending them in now. Got to keep my grift going. I love that shit. All right, let's talk about that for a second, actually. I've been getting called a grifter a lot more lately. Oh, now he's on the left-wing grift, Man, you know what? Fine. I'll admit it right here. I'm a fucking grifter. Everything I say, I don't believe a single fucking word. In real life, I'm a fucking staunch capitalist. I don't believe in a goddamn thing I've said here. I support Trump secretly. I'm a crypto MAGA guy, like Dusty said. I want my taxes lowered. I think that people who work, low-income jobs are exactly where they belong. I think CEOs are, if anything, not paid enough. But I just say the opposite because I know that's where the real money is. Bunch of leftism. That's the fucking market where you can really fucking clean up, So that's what I'm doing. So be sure to keep contributing to my grift. In fact, I might change the little crawl down there where it's like Cunty Cat was scammed out of. I might say Cunty Cat was grifted out of 666. I think I might go ahead and just change that, to reflect the new the times, right? Because people don't scam anymore. Now people grift. So anyway. But hey, you know what? If my grifting to the left wing actually does convince some of you to fight against the system, whatever. I'm willing to accept that as a capitalist. It's just like how the record company will sell the Rage Against the Machine album. It's they're a giant corporation, but they'll publish material that's totally anti-giant corporation because they don't really give a shit. The only thing they care about is their bottom line. So, that's one of the ways that capitalism kind of tends to eat itself, right? Because, okay, whatever. We'll talk about it. We're going to talk about a lot of things. Don't you fucking fret. Don't you fucking frown. One thing we got to talk about before we get too far into anything else, I wanted to show you guys. I had a show all prepared here that I wrote it out yesterday, and then today, of course, 1,000 new things happened. But, I didn't put too much of the new shit in there, but I had to show you this thing. This is a fun little video. You guys might have seen this before. I'm going to go ahead and put this on here. This is a fun little video. You guys are going to love this shit. This is really, this is the direction your country's headed in. And I think you all are going to love it very, very much. I think this is really, America has truly been made great. Let's check this out. All right, so here's a residential street. I think there's supposed to be sound here. Let me go ahead and refresh the page. Da-da-da-da-da. Come on. Come on, we need sound. Okay. Still not hearing it, but whatever. I'll just narrate it for you. So this is a residential neighborhood, nice-looking neighborhood. The cops are storming down the street. They see the people on their porch filming them. The cops right now are screaming at the people on the porch to stop filming. You can see that one cop pointing over there. Stop filming. Get off. Go inside. Go inside. Tell them to go inside. And then one cop starts lighting them up, and they fucking freak out and run back in their house. So this is America, right? This is a country where you stand outside on your fucking own front goddamn porch, and an army of fucking cops that's just making its way right on down your street starts just firing projectiles at you. I don't know what they were firing there. Rubber bullets, tear gas. It was unclear. Hopefully it was one of those. Hopefully they weren't firing fucking live ammunition at civilians, but I guess nothing would fucking surprise me at this point. You know? Right? So this is what we want. This is acceptable, and we're going to say that fucking Antifa, who there's not even any evidence that they're like a major part of this protest. We're going to say that they're terrorists. Meanwhile, the cops are shooting people off of their own fucking porches, you know, just for daring to stand outside while the cops pass by in some nice fucking looking neighborhood. This isn't even like a ghetto or a slum where the cops usually pull this bullshit. This is just a normal ass suburban fucking looking neighborhood. But this is acceptable to some people, right? This is all good. It's the right and authority of the police to, if they see you standing out on your porch when they, for no particular reason, don't want you out there, they can use violence against you to stop you from committing that egregious sin of sitting out on your porch and filming them. I mean, like, I don't know who fucking looks at this and excuses it. Who fucking looks at this and says, oh yeah, this is fine. Everything's good. This is really what's happening here. I like it. I'm down for it. I think this is great. Apparently, there's a lot of people, because I keep seeing people defending the cops. I keep seeing people defend the fucking status quo in this country as being acceptable and all right and permissible. Speaking of people who do that, let's talk about some of the comments I got when I responded to Styx Hex and Hammer's video the other day. So let's talk about this. So I want to first, before we're going to look at some specific comments left by some of his viewers, but first, let's talk about the 4 categories of Styx viewer that I noticed. So I got 4 different kinds of comments from Styx fans who came over to my channel to watch my response to him. So the first kind of comment that I got from Styx viewers, where's my pen? I need this pen. So the first kind of comment I got was these vague, just sort of you suck posts, you know? No argument, no sort of refutation of anything that was said, or even an attempt at making any sort of refutation. Just very vague, like, you suck. A good variation on it was like, I used to like you, but now I don't like you. Like, very, like, grade school kind of shit. Like, you're not my friend anymore. Like, okay, well, I'm sorry. So that was the first kind of comment I got from his audience. The second kind of comment I got was people who clearly did not watch the video. They arrived, they watched maybe a minute, or they read the title or whatever, and then they left a comment. You know, it just like that clearly was something that was addressed in the video, but they don't care. They didn't watch the fucking video. They're just like, here's my 2 cents on the matter, even though I'm not even paying attention to what's going on. So that was a popular one. The third was people who maybe watched the video. It's unclear if they actually watched it or not. But people who could not keep up with the plot, basically. So I'll give you an example of this one. So Styx said in his video that the rioters would not make a distinction between burning down a rich person's house and a poor person's house. And he made numerous references to rioters burning down houses. So I tried to find some examples of rioters burning down residences or even vandalizing residences, and I wasn't able to find any. Now, that doesn't mean it hasn't happened. In fact, I think I've heard since that it has happened somewhat. I don't think any houses were burned down, but I think maybe some windows were broken or something like that. Maybe some graffiti spray painted on houses, which, by the way, I don't defend anybody fucking with private residences. Anyone who's fucking with private residences, that's bullshit. All right? So we could say that. And I don't care who lives there. You know, I don't care if it's a liberal person, a leftist person, a conservative person, a person who hung a fucking, you know, a Confederate flag outside or whatever. I believe in fucking freedom, and I believe a person, even if we find them repugnant, should be able to be safe in their home. So anybody who's attacking a house, fuck them. But at the time I looked, I couldn't find any examples of residences being violated, and I still haven't found many. I think I've heard of one or two instances. But anyway, his audience then left comments like, so you're saying what they did is okay because they didn't attack houses? It's like, motherfucker, follow the plot, okay? Stick said they're attacking houses. I said I can't find any evidence they're attacking houses, and then you say, so that makes it all right? I was refuting a specific fucking claim that he made, okay? So follow the fucking plot. It's not that hard. This is not fucking Inception or something. This is not Memento. This shouldn't be that hard to fucking follow. He made an argument, I countered that argument, and then you act like I'm making some totally separate argument that I didn't fucking make. So we got problems here communicating. This is a breakdown in the basic fucking communication skills of human beings trying to engage one another in a fucking dialectic, okay? Okay. So follow the fucking plot. So the fourth group of people that I got from Styx was either outright racists or outright conspiracy theorists. Now, I'm not trying to necessarily label Styx racist by saying he's got racists in his audience, okay? And honestly, this was the smallest group of people. There wasn't a lot of them, but there was some. So the racists were mostly just like they would make racist statements, but instead of saying the N-word, they would say joggers because of that guy that got killed jogging, you know, a few weeks back. Or at least it grabbed headlines a few weeks back. And honestly, I know it's a shameful, but I can't even remember the guy's name. There's just been so much crazy shit that's happened since then. I had one person come lecture me about why multiracial societies will never be successful, kind of ignoring the fact that America is one of the most successful societies on Earth. But whatever. Then I had the conspiracy nuts who they made references to like George Soros. You know, this is all being orchestrated by George Soros, right? Like how much power do these fuckers think George Soros really fucking has? They just think he's behind the scene. Like everything bad that happens in America, oh man, George Soros planned it. If only we could stop. Like, what are they going to do when George Soros dies? Are they going to find a new villain, or are they just going to, like, George Soros ain't really dead? No. He lives. He lives on. He's still pulling the strings. He just went underground because he was scared of our movement catching on to him. Like, I really wonder what they're going to do when they don't have George Soros to blame everything on anymore. The rioters are paid actors. That was another one. Man, I mean, like, you think someone would have come forward by now and been like, yeah, you know, when I burned that shit down, I only did it because I got a paycheck. I got paid to do it. Now, I'm not saying that that's never happened. I'm not saying that didn't happen in this instance. There might have been some people who were paid by some other group with an agenda trying to use the turmoil. Like, because look, obviously there are people who view turmoil as an opportunity, right? Because when chaos. Which I love chaos, by the way, but chaos has a tendency of rewriting the rules of society. It's during times of chaos that things can really change. It's during times of chaos that there's that opportunity, that impetus for change. And it can go all kinds of different directions. So, of course, there's going to be all sorts of ideological factions trying to use these events to their advantage. And so, of course, there probably have been some instances of people being instructed to protest in a certain way or to do a certain thing because, you know, some Machiavellian schemer thinks it's going to be the accomplishment to his agenda. But if you think that's like the major thrust behind this massive, countrywide protest, like there would be evidence of that, and there just isn't. right? And you're like, there's just too many people involved for you to really genuinely believe that this is all, they're all on somebody's payroll. This is all one giant conspiracy orchestrated by one nefarious kind of fucking villain somewhere. That's just not how it's fucking happening. A lot of people were saying the rioters were bussed in from elsewhere. The mayor, I think, or the governor of Minnesota. I think it was the governor of Minnesota. There's no mayor of Minnesota. It was either the mayor of Minneapolis or the governor of Minnesota. I believe it was the governor of Minnesota was saying, 80% of those we arrested, 100% of those we arrested were from out of state. And then it was 80%. And then it turns out that both of those figures were wrong and the vast majority were, residents. But then again, I don't know. Like, information is coming out so fast, and there's so many sources of unreliable information coming out that it's very hard to kind of suss out what's real and what's not real, right? I'll give you an example. So there was a guy the other night, or last night, I think it was. I think this happened in Dallas. There was a guy, and the original narrative that I heard was, hey, look, a bunch of these protesters beat this guy to death for no reason. I was like, oh shit, that's not good. Why would they do that? And then it was, he was chasing him with a sword. I'm like, oh, he was chasing him with a sword. Oh, and he's not dead. Oh. Now, I have heard reports conflicting in both directions. I've heard people say that he had the sword because he was trying to defend his own business from getting looted. And if that's the case, that's kind of that's obviously a tragic situation, because I obviously have made it clear that I sympathize with the people protesting, and that includes people expropriating goods from corporate shops and stuff. When they're stealing from mom and pops, I'm not down with that. I don't like the whole, I don't like we're stealing from the mom and pop store thing. But stealing from Target, I'm okay with it. I don't have a moral objection. I can't bring it about in myself to fake one. But I do broadly support what's happening there. So I support at least on an emotional level. Like, I support the anger that led these people to do what they're doing. So, but I also can understand a shop owner defending his shop, right? So it's a really kind of a tragic situation where it's like some guy's trying to defend his business, and, he starts chasing rioters with a sword, at which point they really have no choice but to fucking defend themselves, if we're honest, right? Someone's chasing you with a sword, doesn't matter who's in the right or in the wrong. At that point, it's fight or flight. So you fucking beat the shit out of him, leave him crumpled on the fucking sidewalk. Now, if this guy was a shop owner, I have sympathy for him. If this guy was some fucking asshole that showed up to the protest with a sword because he wanted to fucking, fight some protesters, then fuck him. Don't care about him at all in that instance. Well, I care about him, but only in the nebulous general sense that I care about people in general. Like, in that very sort of like, yeah, ain't humanity neat bullshit. But but look, there were so many people on the point of this whole thing is there were so many people on my timeline that were just, guy was beaten to death by the protesters. Only context. I don't know if any of them published retractions. I don't know if any of them said, well, actually he lived and actually he attacked them with a sword and all this other. I don't know if they got into the full story of the dude literally chasing people around with a sword. They didn't really fucking, kind of inconvenient for the narrative. And then there was the old woman, the poor old woman in a wheelchair who was attacked by the protesters. They sprayed the fire hose in her face. Oh, not the fire hose, the fire extinguisher in her face. And then it's like, well, she had a knife and was trying to stab people. Like, I saw a video of this bitch at the entrance to the Target while it was being looted. And as white people came in, she didn't do nothing. But the second a black person came in, she lunged forward and tried to stab them. So I'm not really feeling particular sympathy for her. I don't know why I should be. And then The other guy is like, oh, this old man got beat up by the protesters. Like, the motherfucker was shooting people with a bow and arrow. Which, by the way, what's going on? Like, we got dudes with swords, dudes with bows and arrows, like, chick with a knife. Like, is this medieval times? I guess knives are not super medieval by their nature, but like a sword and a bow and arrow, like, what are you doing? What's on your fucking mind, dude? You shitting me with this? But so many of these things have been presented out of context. And look, I'm not saying that only the right wing is being selective about the information they present. Everybody has a fucking strong impetus in a crazy, like, the great thing about chaos too, since we're talking about chaos, another great thing about chaos is, since no one really knows what's going on, it's super easy to craft whatever narrative you like. Super fucking easy. That's why it's important to try to soak in as much information from as many different sources as possible when something like this is happening, so that you can't be misled. Don't take anyone's word for what's going on. Not mine. Not mine. Not anybody's. You fucking absorb as much as you can about what's going on and try to come to your own fucking conclusions, because everybody out there that has any sort of investment in this has a desire, or at least an impetus, to mislead you in some way, shape, or form, okay? So take everything for fucking granted. Recognize that in times of chaos, everybody can spin their own yarn, because no one really knows what the fuck is going on. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the Styx, Hex, and Hammer fan comments that were left in my video. This is important. It's not really important, but we're going to do it because it's fun. Okay. So, the protesters don't have kinda a point. Literally, a 4-year-old can be brought to understand that two wrongs do not make a right. It doesn't require intellectual excellence to understand that basic foundation of morality. You need to be 4 years old, so no excuses. The buildings burned have nothing to do with police. I am sympathetic to both people with their lives burned and people murdered. You, I suppose, lack the moral understanding of a 4-year-old, feel that randomly punching a random passerby is excused when you are mad at someone unrelated. That's analogous to your point. I agree, it's understandable. It's understandable because there are people who will use any excuse to harm others. The cop is one, the rioters are another. Both are wrong. Wow, what a dazzling display of moral equivalency, right? So the police, who are trained to serve and protect, whose job it is to enforce law and order, them violating that sacred trust by repeatedly murdering people across this country, and not just black people, by the way, but way too often black people. These guys, totally morally equivalent to a population group that has been marginalized, downtrodden, beaten on. We're going to talk about all the fucking socioeconomic factors that led to this shit later. But people who are fed up with a system that will not listen to them, going out and expressing their rage by destroying property. Because let's be real here. While there have been some violent altercations here and there, particularly between protesters and police, there have not been a tremendous amount of protesters doing violence against people, especially not just random people just walking down the street, minding their own business. Oh no, protesters, I'm being attacked. No. The people that have been attacked, for the most part, have been people who armed themselves with knives, swords, and bows and arrows against protesters. And we just saw a moment ago, the cops are the ones who just fire on innocent fucking civilians. I don't know if I pulled it for this episode, but I retweeted on my Twitter if you want to go check it out. There was a woman who was walking home carrying her fucking groceries, guys. She's just walking home with a fucking bag of groceries. and a cop, not a protester, but a cop, walked up to her and shot her in the fucking face with a rubber bullet. Who's the fucking terrorists, my friends? Who's the fucking terrorists? So, look, this comment's bullshit. There's no moral equivalency there. Supporters of riots are not typical Americans. It is Democrats and leftists, including CNN-type organizations, who are supporting the rioters, looters, and arsonists. CNN has not supported the rioters, okay? CNN has supported the protesters because that's about as far as they're willing to fucking go. Now, they might throw like a little bone to the rioters here and there, like, we understand their frustration or something, but they're corporate media fucking hacks, and no one gives a fuck what they have to say. So you're going to say the rioters are not typical Americans. Like, do you forget how this country was founded, dog? Did you forget about the Boston Massacre? Did you forget about the Boston Tea Party? Did you forget about the fucking Revolutionary War? Do you think that was peaceful? Do you think that was like a peaceful protest? We're going to fucking peacefully protest until England, gives us our freedom. No. Now, I don't venerate the founding fathers like a lot of right-wingers do, because I don't think that their agenda was quite so pure as history has portrayed it. I think that these were a bunch of rich guys who wanted more power for themselves and were tired of kissing the boot of the King of England, and they wanted other people kissing their boots instead. So I think that was the real motive behind a lot of the revolutionary action. But that being said, a lot of the fucking rage and hostility towards the British was organic. There was, massive protest when the Boston Massacre happened. The Boston Tea Party was obviously a bunch of dudes destroying property. I think they did $1 million in damage by today's standards or something like that. And I mean, I'm sure that there were people at the time who were like, oh, how does this punish the King of England, How does this punish the King of England? All this does is punish all the people who want to sell and drink tea, They were protesting a tax on tea, By the way, other things that happened, they would tar and feather tax collectors. There was all kinds of little skirmishes between British troops and American, they weren't American citizens at the time. They were citizens of the crown, but whatever. Look, as with every analogy, I know there's not 100% like, oh, these two things are exactly identical in every way. So all you people out there who are already starting to type out, like, there were several key differences, I understand. But we're focusing on, was the American Revolution peaceful or was it violent? It was violent. So don't come here and fucking tell me that these rioters are not typical Americans. This country was founded on fucking bloodshed, dude. The far left makes up 8% of the population. You are far left, AA. I don't even think they make up 8%. I think it's more like 3%, but whatever. You and I might have different ideas about what constitutes far left. The most they could gather for each riot was hundreds out of almost 400 million people. They burned down in each location a few buildings out of thousands. Without the media hype, I would have fallen asleep. I don't think you'd have fallen asleep if you were living in one of those towns. Your riots were not actual riots, just an attempt by weak people that failed. They're still going, man. All they did was take jobs away from many people because most businesses will move instead of rebuilding. Well, where are they going to move to? This is spread to almost every American city at this point. You and the people on your side of the fence are morons. You are failures. You will use this nonsense to help in the 2020 election. Yeah, no one's mind is on the fucking 2020 election right now. No one is like, we got to get Biden, guys. That's not what this is about. The far left today has realized this and will be used against them, and now they are desperate and trying to blame us for what they did. The far left is pathetic. So this guy is basically trying a different tactic. And you know what's funny? This fucker here probably still supports Trump's order today to designate Antifa as terrorists, even though his very comment here is basically like, your guys' protest wasn't shit. Ain't nobody even noticed that shit. If the media didn't cover it, I wouldn't even have known nothing was going on. I'd just be here scratching my ass, dude. Yeah, well, there could be a giant meteor heading for the fucking planet, and if the media didn't report on it, you wouldn't know about that either. Doesn't exactly make it irrelevant. Not only that, but these protests have spread all across America to all sorts. Almost every major city has some fucking version of these protests, right? So this idea that, oh, this is just so isolated and so ignorable. Yeah, it doesn't really hold fucking water, dude. You're going to have to come to grips with what's actually going on. Protesters and rioters are two very different types of people. And the rioters destroyed over 170 businesses in Minneapolis. Okay, so first of all, you're right. Protesters and rioters are different kinds of people. I'm glad you acknowledge that. So stop lumping them in together. Stop acting like everyone who's out there protesting is rioting, because a lot of people are out there still clinging to the whole idea that peaceful protest is going to accomplish something, even though there's mountains of evidence to the fucking contrary at this point. So the idea that 170 businesses in Minneapolis were destroyed? No. Some businesses were destroyed. I don't know. I don't have an exact tally in my head of how many businesses were destroyed. Okay? Plenty of businesses were attacked. Plenty of businesses had windows broken or were looted or had some sort of damage done to them. Sometimes it's superficial as a single broken window, but there 170 businesses were not destroyed in the fucking riot, okay? There was damage done to 170. There's probably been more by now, honestly, because these have been going on for days and days. But, yeah, showing no signs yet of slowing down. Although, you know, eventually the big guns are going to be brought in to crack down in a big way. And I think to some extent that's happened. But what do you know about how easy it is to find a job? You had one job for 2 hours. So fair enough point. So I had a job at IHOP where I was supposed to be a dishwasher, but because they were short-staffed up front, I was put to wait tables, a job that I never fucking signed up for, and I don't have the right temperament for. Some dude got on me about where his pancakes were, and I fucking told him, you know, they'll be coming up in a minute, and he fucking, I want my damn pancakes and all this shit. So I fucking, when I got his pancakes, I dumped them on his fucking lap. And then I walked out. And that was my foray with the 9 to 5 real world job shit. So obviously something I'm not fucking suited for, right? So, you know, yeah, I don't work well in a real job. I mean, what's your point? What does that have to do with anything that's going on right now? Oh, well, I guess the point was he said, you know, because I said at one point it's pretty easy to find a job. Now, I prefaced that by saying, look, I know right now we do have an unemployment problem because of COVID-19, but prior to that, pretty easy to find a low-paying, wage-slave corporate fucking job, right? And the reason I know that is not from my own personal experience, but it's because I know other people and talk to other people, right? I have seen other people go out job hunting and come back and say, hey, I got hired on at Domino's. Hey, I got hired on at, you know, Burlington Coat Factory. Hey, I got hired on at X, Y, and Z, because these companies are pretty much always hiring, and it's not that hard to find these sort of low-wage, fucking quasi-subsistence level wage slave, daily grind, dehumanizing fucking jobs. They're a dime a fucking dozen. That was the point. Wow, I haven't seen someone be so wrong about every single point since the last Vosh video I watched. I find this especially funny considering that there was such a big production made about, Styx Hexenhammer. He's gonna debate. These lefties are too scared to debate him. So then Humanist Report said, I'll debate you. Never happened. Styx backed out. Vosh said, hey, I'll debate Styx anytime, any place. Name the fucking time. I don't give a shit. Styx backed out. Styx made a whole video about how, it's just pointless to argue with these people because they're so irrational. Yeah, I'm sure that's why, buddy. So this fucking notion here that this Styx Hexenhammer fan is like, Vosh is so wrong about so many things. Okay, well then why don't you have your boy Styx go fucking slam dunk his ass then, right? It should be easy. If he's so wrong about every fucking thing he says, then that should be a fucking layup shot for Sticks, right? Should be like fucking dunking in a basketball net that's fucking 2 feet off the ground. Why don't you debate him? We all know why. Well, by that logic, why won't he debate Vosh? We all know why. Guess what? I don't run a fucking debate channel. I'm not particularly good at debating people. You know why? Because I got a fucking temper. So at some point, if people say enough stupid shit to me, I'm probably going to say something I shouldn't. Like, hey, shut your fucking mouth before I pull your eyeballs out and shove them up your ass. And then I'm in trouble. So I'm not the right temperament to debate people. Vosh is, and he wants to debate Sticks. Why can't that happen? I think it should. Pardon me. If enough people are on board with it, ... Ellipses. A very ironic statement coming from someone who is an atheist. Most people are religious by the numbers, and like the rioters, they are wrong. Those that are sowing destruction and not protecting or rebelling against anything concrete, they are degenerative agents of chaos. Well, I like chaos, so you're not going to fucking win me over with that. Counterintuitive and counterproductive. Is it really counterintuitive? Is it really counterintuitive if the needs of your community are not being met and your problems are ignored by those in power? Is it really counterintuitive to say, hey, well, if you're going to ignore our problems, we're going to give you a hell of a lot more problems to fucking worry about? Is that really counterintuitive? I don't think it is. I think that makes perfect fucking sense on a very visceral, easily comprehended level. This whole thing, by the way, he's arguing up against a point that was never made. Because I said, he's like, if enough people are on board with it, he's acting like I'm using like argumentum ad populum here, where I'm saying like, well, so many people are protesting that it must be okay. Like the only litmus test I have for whether a protest is valid or a riot is valid is how many people are doing it, which wasn't the argument I made at all. The argument I made was the fact that this is happening. The fact that there are people out there so fucking frustrated that they are burning shit down and throwing rocks and shit, the fact that that's going down, maybe you should look at that and be like, I wonder what's causing this. But you don't, because it's easier for you to not look at the underlying causes. It's easier for you to just say, it's bad guys. It's bad people doing bad things. They was just looking for an excuse to be bad. As if that's how human psychology works at all. You either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. It's sad that TJ has become an SJW preaching Marxist ideologies. But yet, I hate when people say but yet. They both mean the same fucking thing. Like, that sentence works equally well if you just say yet or but. You don't need to say but yet. But yet, pathetically begs people to give him money and support his Patreon. Oh, right. Does Styx Hexenhammer not have a fucking Patreon? Does most YouTubers at this point not have a Patreon? Well, I already admitted I'm a grifter, so yeah. You're damn right. Give me that fucking money. But I love this, man. I love the fucking... The Dark Knight quote. You either live... Like, how about you watch V for Vendetta? Or how about you watch The Dark Knight, but take the Joker side? As a fun experiment, I know you probably side with Batman because you're a fucking boring pussy, but next time you watch The Dark Knight, see things from the Joker's perspective and be like, you know what? This watch, I'm rooting for the Joker. It's amazing how much what he says starts to make a little bit of sense. Not agreeing with the Joker's means, not agreeing with his methods, but the underlying message that he's trying to get across, kind of agree with it. The only threat was in your imagination, and you know it. Who do you think is going to suffer when the rioters burn down a Target? The corporation has insurance. They are covered. But the customers who need to buy low-cost goods there now can't. The parents who were working there and feeding their kids with their paycheck. By the way, insurance also covers payroll. So unless those companies choose to callously fire those people, the insurance will cover their payroll. And by the way, thanks to the unemployment benefits that were the unemployment $600 extra a week that was appended to unemployment by the law that was passed by Congress that doesn't expire till July. Those people will probably be making more now than they were then. Anyway, I had forgotten why I stopped watching you years ago, but now I remembered. You were into pointless drama then, and you are still into drama. I'm sorry. Did I fucking go after Styx Hexenhammer? No. Styx Hexenhammer responds to almost every other tweet that I fucking make, badgering me, trying to fucking get some sort of rise out of me. When he finally does, he goes and makes a fucking video about it, and then when I respond, I'm fucking besieged by idiots like you. So, no, I wasn't out there looking for some drama. I don't do that shit. I don't like that shit. I fucking consider the matter closed. Anywho, I say anywho a lot lately. It's very strange. I never used to say that. Let's fucking not worry about the comments anymore. I just thought it'd be fun to respond to a few of those. Show you the caliber of people we're working with here. So, I've heard one of my favorite things that happened in the riot so far is the White House stuff. I have heard, by the way, that in Las Vegas, they're not even allowing the most peaceful or constrained protest to happen. Like, anyone goes out there with a sign, the police are there to crack down instantly. They're not even allowed to fucking have their First Amendment rights. Just, no, we're not letting that shit happen here. So rioters in front of the White House, they tore down the fucking barricade. Not the fence for the White House itself. Like, they didn't get onto the White House lawn or anything. But there was a barricade set up, a few, 20, 30, 40 feet or something like that in front of the White House. And the Secret Service, in full riot gear, was behind that barricade. The protesters showed up. They actually fought police over the barricade. There was like a tug of war over the barricade. Finally, the protesters were able to clear out the barricade, and then it was just police, not even police, Secret Service with riot shields and protesters face to fucking face, And it didn't help things that all over Twitter, like people who heard that barricade was torn down, people all over Twitter were like, they busted in the White House, y'all. Uh-oh, the protesters are in the White House. There must have been 1,000, 2,000, thousands of fucking tweets I saw about the protesters have officially broken into the White House. This is just another example of the kind of misinformation that gets thrown around when something like this happens, And of course, there were also a shit ton of people who, I don't know if they were aware of what the actual situation was. I watched some live streams of what was actually going on the ground at the White House, and it was just basically a standoff between Secret Service and protesters. There was probably like 200 or 300 protesters, not even a huge crowd or anything, standing face to face with the Secret Service, and they were yelling things at the Secret Service. The Secret Service was stone-faced back, and nothing really much happened. After the big struggle over the barricades, the protest, there was a couple little tiny skirmishes, but nothing actually happened. But despite that being the reality on the ground, I saw a shit ton of people on Twitter saying, they need to shoot these protesters right now at the White House. Trump needs to gun these protesters down. He needs to, give the order to open fire and waste these fucking commie scum. And I don't know if those people who were saying that were, believing reports that these people had broken into the White House, or if they knew full well that this was just a bunch of people standing outside of the White House protesting. But if they knew that and they were still giving those orders, holy shit. I mean, we are so fucked when there's those kind of people running around this fucking country. We are so fucked when people who are standing there peacefully fucking protesting, for the most part. I mean, like, you know, I'm not going to claim they were 100% peaceful. I'm not that disingenuous, but for the most part, they were not doing violence on anybody. Now, there was, I should point out, there was a Secret Service guy that got hurt. He got a brick to the fucking head. So, not 100% peaceful. Not 100% peaceful. I'm not making that claim. But I saw live streams of this, and for the most part, it was just a bunch of people standing around. Some of them were yelling. Most of them were just standing there, kind of not sure what to do next. And eventually, the Secret Service pushed them further away and re-erected some barricades. And I think they might have got torn down again later. But for the most part, a bunch of people standing around. No one was doing anything that warranted lethal force. But tons of people on Twitter calling for just that. Why would that be? By the way, most of the people at that particular protest, at least half of them, were fucking white. So this idea that this is all a bunch of black people out there causing a ruckus, not fucking true. I'm sure that when they find out they're not black, they just labeled them Antifa, which is now being labeled a terrorist organization. So now a group of people standing outside the White House going like this, like, we don't like it. You know, those people are now terrorists. Well, they're not now, because this isn't going to just happen. There's going to be legal challenges to this and all that. But I mean, like, it's ridiculous. So the people out there urging the fucking police, the Secret Service, to open fire on people who are protesting. Many on the right, and I guess some on the left too, are talking about Civil War II at this point. Civil War II. I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't popped off more than it has. Like, if this keeps going, eventually we're going to have some real fucking nasty... There's going to be some kind of real nasty fucking event happen, you know? We've seen some skirmishes that have been pretty fucking gross, but that's going to be fucking child's play compared to some of the stuff we might see happen if this continues on. Like, when are we going to get to the point where we see a fucking massacre happen? Like, are we going to see a bunch of police just open fire on a crowd at some point? Are we going to see a bunch of protesters just dead in the fucking streets? Could happen. I don't know. Another great thing that happened was Fox News was actually fucking chased out of there. I think I might have video of that. I do. Okay. I have video of Fox News being chased out of this White House riot. Wasn't even really a riot, more of a protest there. But let's take a look. This is fun. So here's Fox News. They're trying to cover the protest in front of the White House, and here's what happens.
Hey, watch the street. Hey, it's Fox News reporter.
What the hell? Come on.
Getting chased out by the George Floyd protesters here in front of at Lafayette Park. Look, there's water being thrown on the reporter here. Hey, look, this protester just took his mic.
He threw his fucking mic at him.
Things are spiraling here quick at the protest.
Run him off.
The protesters are attacking journalists and media here live in Washington, D.C.
No, they're not attacking journalists and media. They're attacking Fox News. So, no, they're not attacking journalists and media. That's bullshit. Do we even have journalists left in this country anymore?
Right-wing bullshit right there.
A reporter, I guess from Fox News, was just chased down the street in front of the White House by protesters.
You love to see it. I love to see it. I mean, you can feel how you want about it. Maybe you fucking think that that's horrible. That should never have happened. I happen to think that was beautiful and definitely should have happened. And I'm so glad it fucking did. You know, but that's just my emotional state. What are you going to do? Let's see what's going on. Oh. All right, I guess I shouldn't have come back over here. I just had to check my notes here. But we got a few videos. We're going to go through Waffle House, CNN. Tweets. Douchebag cup. Blah, 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 blah. We're not going to go back until there, probably. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Let's talk about some shit. Let's get it going on. Get out of here. No one likes you. Yeah. Okay, so we got some stuff. Let's go over a few things. So, what was this refreshing bullshit? Anyway. I love this video. This is a video of the protesters defending the Waffle House from their fellow protesters. Like, no, leave the Waffle House alone. Don't fuck with the Waffle House. No. It just shows there's moments of levity even in these situations. I also like how this totally refutes the idea that this is just a fucking mob out for mindless destruction. Like, they have no regards for what they're doing. They're not fucking making it. There's no sort of decision-making process. There's no sort of, like, moral code going on. No. They saw a business they liked. Hey, that's Waffle House. They got good hash browns. Don't fucking do that. Leave the hash browns alone. We like hash browns. We like fucking waffles. We like not Grand Slam, that's Denny's. We like, what's it called? The All-Star Special down there at the Waffle House. God, I love it. It's so fucking beautiful seeing people defend the Waffle House, because I love Waffle House. I'm a Southern boy, and man, I love Waffle House so much. I can't wait until this social distancing shit is over enough that I can go get me some motherfucking Waffle House. And I'm so glad to see that the protesters out there share my deep and abiding love for Waffle House. I love to see it. I'm basically just showing you this. So the protesters attacked CNN, which goes to show they're not just out there fucking for the fake news of the Republican Party. They're out there for the fake news of the Democrat Party as well. So I think it's kind of pretty. I mean, to me, this might be my favorite photo. If this isn't like the photograph of 2020, I'm going to get off the screen so you can fucking appreciate it in all its splendor for a second. This is the greatest fucking photograph I have ever seen in my entire goddamn life, dude. This is fucking beautiful. Someone just asked me, as an atheist god, what would your heaven be like? This is fucking heaven, sir. A bunch of people who have raided this fucking lying, hack, corporate, fucking neoliberal propaganda, fucking state news network bullshit, have spray painted all over the fucking famous sign, the famous CNN sign that you're supposed to want to get your picture taken on when you're there on vacation. They have fucking desecrated that fucking sign. And no, they didn't desecrate it. It was already desecrated by virtue of being CNN. They fucking improved the sign, and they are standing atop the fucking CNN sign like victors in a fucking great battle against the fucking stupidity of our system. And I even asked conservatives, like, hey, you guys got a dilemma on your hands now because, who you gonna side with here? Because I know you guys hate CNN and you hate the protesters. So which one do you hate more? And they all said they hate CNN more. So you know what? This is a cool moment where right wing and left wing can come together to appreciate the fact that CNN got its shit fucked up. Now, we might appreciate it for very different reasons, but God damn it, we both appreciate it. So this is a fine moment. This is a moment that brings America together. This is another story of hope amidst the chaos. So even the right-wingers watching right now who are probably really mad that I'm taking the perspectives I do, at least know we share this. At least know that you and I can both high-five over CNN getting its fucking shit fucked up. Now, CNN should have left this. CNN, they've already fucking repainted this and restored it to pristine order. Which kind of just goes to show that this property damage stuff is not a fucking big deal. Let's look at this. All right. So here's another one. This one's really fucked up. You guys will like this. I mean, you're not going to like it, but this is something that fucking happened. So here is You think those Fox News journalists were treated poorly by the protesters? You should see how this reporter is treated by the cops. Uh-oh. Cops don't like reporters being near them.
Katie, are you okay? Rubber bullets, it's okay. It's those pepper bullets. It's those pepper bullets. Who are they aiming that at?
They're aiming at you guys. What do you mean who they're aiming it at? They're aiming it right at the fucking cameraman and right at the fucking reporter. Do they not know? I mean, like, that's a pretty naive statement from that reporter, from that anchor woman in the studio. I'm going to turn up the volume of this stuff a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard because the volume was pretty low, but the reporter lady just asked, do they not know? It's like, no, they know. What do you think they're up to? What do you think these fucking guys are up to? You think that they're there to restore order? Or do you think they're there to bash in a few fucking skulls, right? So before they bash in the skulls, do they want cameras around showing them bashing in the skulls? No. No, they sure don't. That's not in their best interest. They're not super interested in, there being a live news report of them doing that. Now, I don't know how they're so dumb that they think that the video of them firing on the reporters isn't going to play equally badly. But, I mean, like, once again, crazy shit. Crazy shit. Like, if you think that the fucking, like, if you think that if you were watching a moment ago when the protesters ejected the Fox News reporter, if you had the reaction of like, oh, that was wrong, they shouldn't have done that, then isn't this way fucking worse? What about the CNN reporter that was fucking just arrested live on the air? Was that okay? All right, here's another fun little video you might like. This is a good one.
Yep. Hold on. I got you. Hold on. They had us here.
This is the guy getting arrested, right?
We're speaking with State Patrol right now. Give us a second, guys.
You guys have probably all seen this video a million times, but I think it's worth watching again.
We can move back to where you'd like. We can move back to where you'd like here. We are live on the air at the moment. This is the four of us. We are one team. Just put us back where you want us.
Put us where you want us. Literally telling the police, hey, wherever you think is appropriate for us to be, we will go there.
We're getting out of your way, so just let us know.
Totally deferential to the authorities. No fucking sign of resistance. Just saying like, hey, you tell us where we're allowed to be, and we will be there.
Wherever you'd want us, we will go. We were just getting out of your way when you were advancing through the intersection. So just let us know, and we got you. And this is a scene here playing out in Minneapolis. This is part of the advanced police presence that we saw come over the course of really minutes when the local police showed up at the fire department, or with the fire department, I should say, on that building we showed.
Look at them all. Look at that fucking army back there. It's like the fucking armies of Mordor.
It was burning. This is among the State Patrol unit that was advancing up the street, saying and scattering the protesters at that point for people to clear the area. And so we walked away. I'm sorry?
You're under arrest.
Do you mind telling me why I'm under arrest, sir?
Because I was ordered to do so.
Okay.
You are arresting him live on CNN. We told you before that we are with CNN.
If you're just tuning in, you are watching our...
If you saw this in a fucking movie, you'd be like, whoa, look at that fucking crazy fascist dystopian hellhole that people live in this fictional world of this movie. But you're watching it happen in real life, and there's people that are literally excusing it, like, well, this gotta do what you gotta do, man. A few minutes ago, a truck ran over some protesters in Minnesota. Looks like we got some breaking news here. I need to check into this, folks. Someone in the chat just alerted me that a truck has run over some protesters truck runs over protesters. We're looking into that right now. Okay, I see that that's an old one. That's from 12 hours ago, so I don't think you're talking about that. Did they mention when it happened? Sorry, hold on. I'm looking into this right now. Give me a second. Everyone be patient. Thank you. I appreciate it. There's so much shit happening that, of course, stuff is happening as we speak. Can someone send me a link to that story to my Twitter? If anyone has a beat on that, I can't really do it right now when I'm trying to fucking do this show. But if someone has that, please send it to my Twitter. DM it to me, and I'll take a look at it. So here's a reporter. And look, once again, you know, a lot of times when the police are getting rid of cameras from the area, it's because they're doing something that they probably don't want the American people to see them doing. Another thing they've done in these protest zones is block cell tower signals so that no one can live stream what's going on. So they have like they're exercising tight, rigid control over what sort of information can enter and exit these protest zones. Now, why would they do that? Unless they were doing something that they didn't want you to see or to hear about, right? Now I'm getting a link here from somebody, and I want to thank them for sending it in. I didn't catch the name before I clicked the link, and now it's off the screen. But looks like we got here that a tanker truck barreled through a crowd of thousands of protesters marching on the I-35 bridge in Minneapolis just before 6 p.m. on Sunday. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the screen. I don't know exactly what's going on here. This is a large tanker truck. They scattered, and all of them managed to avoid getting run over, according to preliminary reports. Good. Witnesses said dozens of marchers were sitting or had taken a knee for a moment of silence when the truck came hurtling towards them and stopped halfway across the bridge. Then demonstrators appeared to drag the driver out of the truck. Okay. Minneapolis police closed in and took the driver, who was injured, into custody. The State Department of Public Safety, said it's investigating how the truck got onto the closed highway. It probably just barreled through something. I mean, it's a fucking truck. It's really hard to stop a big fucking tanker truck, right? Drew Vale, a special education teacher at Minneapolis Washburn High School, said cars still driving on the roadway were going to... Okay, so it looks like no one was killed here. All right, let's keep looking at stuff. We already looked at that. We already looked at that. Already looked at this. Okay, so here's another example. This is just like, to me, this is like the ultimate cop move, dude. You guys have maybe seen this video. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm going to hop off the screen so you can just fucking appreciate it in all of its fucking glory. This is, I'm not even going to tell you what's going to happen, because if you don't know already, I want you to just see it for yourself. Now, keep in mind, there is no violence happening here. There are no violent protests happening at this place at this time. This is just people protesting on the street. No one's throwing Molotov cocktails or any crazy shit like that. This is just a bunch of people standing around doing the protest. They're holding signs and shit. That's what they're doing. And he decides to just mace the crowd. People on bicycles and shit just like, yeah, you're maced now. They literally were not even blocking the way. Like, there was... Two cop cars had already fucking passed. So you can't even make the argument like, well, they were blocking his path on his way to some shit, you know? No. No one was blocking the path. There was a bunch of people standing around on bicycles and holding some signs and shit. And he just wantonly fucking sprays mace into the crowd. Why? Because these people have not gotten the fucking message that they are going to be held fucking accountable. They still think it's the Wild West where they can do whatever the fuck they want to private citizens and there's no fucking recourse for us. How much do we have to fucking... Okay, I need to phrase that differently. How loud do the people have to yell before these motherfuckers hear it and get the goddamn message? That's what I want to know. All right. Let's take a look at some other stuff. What's this? Hold on. Okay. So we're going to talk about this in a second. So I did want to talk about the downside of some of this stuff. Let's go ahead and switch to our other camera for a minute. So am I prepared to talk about the negative repercussions of protests? Riots? I am. So one thing that happened is, small business owners have been affected. Because look, like I said, when it comes to we're looting the Target, we're burning down the AutoZone, I know that there's people who work there that are maybe going to have a little bit of a rough patch, but by and large, I don't care because you're not destroying anyone's fucking livelihood. Those places are insured. Those people are going to be fine. But what I do care about is when, like, mom and pop shops are destroyed because they might not have enough insurance to cover that shit. Their insurance might say, like, we don't cover rioting or whatever the fuck. They don't have the big corporate insurance policy. And even if there's no corporate insurance policy, then it's like, well, they still just have billions of dollars backing them up, and they're going to make sure everything's fucking hunky-dory, right? But, a mom and pop shop that doesn't have infinite resources, a lot of times people who run mom and pop shops are already struggling because corporate America has already fucking raped them up the ass, right? So many mom and pop shops have been closed down by big box stores like Walmart and Target, and, the local auto parts fucking place has been replaced by fucking AutoZone, and the local mom and pop diner has been replaced by Waffle House, although I do love Waffle House. So these giant corporations, they've already fucking run so many of these stores down. So for these people who are protesting to target small businesses, just really fucked up. So I don't like when they do that. I understand that this is a riot in a lot of instances. Although I do make a differentiation between the rioters and the protesters, but the people who are rioting, like, I understand the nature of a riot is that there's an element of anarchy to it, that there's obviously an element of danger to it, and there's obviously bad stuff's going to happen. When you have a giant fucking well of chaos that's just going, oh my God, everything's fucking nuts, there's going to be some bad shit that happens amidst all that fucking chaos, even by my standards, which obviously are not the same as most people's. But even by my standards, some bad shit's going to happen. Small business getting fucked with, not a great thing. Not a good look. It's like I said, I was watching a Vosh video earlier, and he was talking about, like, it's pointless to criticize the optics of a fucking riot because obviously it's not done for optics reasons. This is not, some planned demonstration. This is fucking, we are pissed and we're going to fucking be a whirlwind of destruction, to make a fucking point. But sometimes... There are people who get caught in that whirlwind who probably didn't fucking deserve it. So let's look at one fucking example that a lot of people have pointed to, and that's this gentleman here who he lost a bar that he was building. He was putting up a bar and grill, I think, and or something like that. He's a fireman, black business owner who. Trying to build something in his community, and it got destroyed in the riots, which is not a good thing.
Today, we found Corboy Bala, who invested his life savings into opening this sports bar, cleaning up. While our camera was there, looters came back to try to steal his safe.
Right, trying to steal the safe.
I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna work so hard to get here. So hard.
Today,
Right, so that's horrible. Anybody who looks at that, their heart obviously goes out to that dude. Anybody whose heart doesn't go out to that dude, I don't think they have a fucking heart in the first place. So, luckily, there's kind of a happy end to this, and I think that lots of people have come together. Look, this guy has, there has been a GoFundMe started. I contributed $25 to it. I'll fucking put the link in the description, actually, so you guys can fucking contribute to it if you want. But he's already raised $906,000 from on a $100,000 goal. Let's make this guy fucking rich, guys. Let's make the fucking day that the riot happened the greatest day of his life. Let's make that the day that fucking not only gave him enough money to fucking open up his business, but to open up in fucking style, right? Because this guy didn't deserve this. No one wants these kind of unintended fucking consequences. Obviously, you know, this is a fucking bad thing. And there's, you know, I'm one of these fucking 16,627 donators. I recommend that everyone here donate as well. And fucking let it be known that, you know, just because we support the fucking general emotions behind the riot and just because we support certain aspects of what's happening during the riot, we know that a riot in many ways is a fucking force of nature. And that sometimes that force of nature fucking, you know, people get caught in the fucking whirlwind that didn't deserve it, like I said earlier. So let's go ahead and fucking pour out some money to this guy if you got any to fucking spare. I gave him $25. You know, just shoot him $5. I think he deserves it for what he's been through. And obviously, I think it tugs at my heartstrings to see him suffer. So we definitely got to fucking help this guy out and make sure he lands on his feet. It looks like he's already going to do it, but I see no reason not to, like, I don't want to just make this guy whole again. I want to fucking get him back to the I want him to fucking have more money than he ever fucking imagined he'd have in his whole fucking life. That's where I'm at with this. Is my fucking cat in here? Son of a bitch, dude. All right, hold on. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the description section to this video. I'm going to put it right under the theme song link, which I also urge you to check out. All right. I don't know. That link might be a little too long. I might have to do a shorten here. Okay, I think if I just put this, it'll work. So hold on. I'm just trying to get that in there. I probably should have done it beforehand, but I just didn't think about it. All right. I don't know. Here's $5 to donate to him. No, don't. That's going to me. Don't give me money to give to him. Give him money and give me money if you want. Give him money for sure. Like, if you're one of these people who watches this shit but would never fucking part with a dime to give to my fucking greedy ass, that's fine. But give some to him. Like, even if you can only fucking spare $1 or $2, fucking give him a buck. Give him a buck, give him $2, give him $3, give him what you can. No fucking reason not to. So yeah, help this dude out. Absolutely. So I put the link in the description. I'm not 100% sure it actually fucking works. So let me check if that URL will actually take you to where you need to go. Yes, it will. Okay. So we got that. So with that said, let's go back to some more shit here. So another person that got hurt in this all, this guy, he went between, like, there's this UPS truck. It's like a double-sided truck. Some dude climbed up between the two trucks, got dragged, and died pretty fucking brutal death. Of course, the people on this is a right-wing page, so there's a lot of people on here who's like, I was unaware that FedEx delivered justice. You know, so a lot of these people here are celebrating his death. I happen to think it's fucking tragic. I don't know the guy's name. Yeah, there's been some other fucking reports of deaths that I've not been able to confirm, but let's go ahead and talk about them. All right, so I really need to do something about this fucking setup where I constantly have to go like, whoop, whoop. I need to find something where I can face one direction the whole fucking time, if that's possible. I need to figure something out, but we'll worry about that later. That's my logistical issues to deal with. But I've heard some other fucking shit about people getting hurt. It's real nasty shit. So the thing about it is, like I said, in this fucking chaotic environment, it's really hard to confirm what's true, what's not true, what happened, what didn't happen. A lot of times the stuff that's being reported is outright false. A lot of times it's half true. A lot of times you just don't fucking know. Like, you're not going to get any confirmation. Some of these stuff I couldn't even find articles about, but I saw circulating rumors. So take all this with a fucking grain of fucking salt. So I heard that a 19-year-old boy was killed in a drive-by. I heard that, some random crowd, I think it was like a Chevy Eldorado. Is that a car? I don't know. There was a car that was going by. It doesn't matter what the fucking car was. It started just firing into a crowd of protesters randomly, and a 19-year-old boy was struck and killed by a fucking bullet. Not killed by police, not killed by fellow protesters, seemingly killed by an angry citizen that just didn't like protesters. But I haven't been able to fully confirm that happened. On the first night of protests, I heard that a pawn shop owner shot a protester, but I've not been able to really confirm that this happened either. And I didn't also, even if it did happen, I don't know if it was a fatal shot. I don't know if the guy got shot but lived. I don't know if he got shot and died. I don't know if he got shot at all. But I did hear reports about a guy getting shot by a pawn shop owner. So I already mentioned it earlier, but I'll mention it again. I did hear about a Secret Service agent who had a brick thrown at him at the White House protests, who, he wasn't, like, knocked out or anything, but he might have had a concussion or something, and he was injured, and there was some footage of his fellow Secret Service agents attending to him. Obviously, you don't like to see people get hurt, so that's another bad thing. And here's one that I don't even know if this one is related to the protests, but I've seen it circulating around as an excuse for why the protests are bad. So apparently, and once again, this is one that I could not find a news article for, but it's apparently a woman was raped and beaten to death in a car. And it's unclear whether this crime was directly or even incidentally related to the protests, but it might have been. This could have either been some fucking rioters who went way fucking too far and should definitely be fucking in jail, or it could be, some opportunistic criminals who are just using the chaos to get away with some kind of crazy crime that they normally wouldn't have, or it could have been some fucking crazy criminals who would have done this, on any night, whether there was a riot going on at all, or it could be that this story is complete fucking bullshit made up by right-wingers to drum up fucking support for their cause. But whatever the case may be, these people obviously should be strongly fucking condemned and should face justice if, in fact, this actually fucking happened. And if they were in any way connected to the protests, then the entirety of the protest needs to disavow those guys. And I'm sure there's been tons of other people who've been injured or killed. We talked earlier about the woman who was shot in the face with a rubber bullet by a cop. We just saw those reporters on the local news getting rubber bullets fired at them by cops. And rubber bullets can be fatal, by the way. They're designed not to be, obviously, but you take one of those to the eyeball or something, you could fucking die of that. So with all that pain, with all that suffering, and I'm sure we're going to see more of it, by the way, is it worth it? Let's start with the nature of a riot here, because a riot is not premeditated. A riot is not planned, right? No one's like, hey, guys, I got a swell idea for a riot we can have. First, we'll go here and destroy this, and then we'll... No, a riot is very spontaneous, very emotional, driven by group psychology kind of thing. So I did find a little excerpt from an article I read about the UK riots that happened about 8 years ago that I think... I found this as an excerpt in an article. I probably should have pulled the name of the guy who wrote it, but I didn't. So I just want to read this in its entirety because I think it kind of captures a lot of my own sentiments here. Riots generally occur when groups have a sense of illegitimacy about how they are treated by others, and where they see collective confrontation as the only means of redressing the situation. Indeed, by coming together in the crowd, people become empowered and can invert normal social relationships. E.P. Thompson, the preeminent historian of crowds, argued that in a world where the powerless are generally invisible, the riot is a form of collective bargaining. At the very least, the rioters' problems have become a problem for the powerful, and hence the powerful have been forced to take note of the issue they had previously ignored. So what are riots really about, if that's to be believed? Riots are really about visibility. Riots are really about saying, you have ignored me for so long, you will no longer be able to ignore me. You're not going to be able to ignore me now. You're not going to be able to ignore us now. And to that extent, they've accomplished their goal. Now, whether or not their issues are addressed or redressed in a meaningful way from here, who fucking knows? But we've seen what we've seen them protesting, we've seen them rioting, we know what they're protesting about, we know what they're rioting about. Don't fucking kid yourselves. Don't fucking lie to yourselves and say, oh, no. This isn't even about the death of George Floyd anymore. Well, it is. It's about the death of George Floyd, and it's about the death of tons of other people, often black, who have been murdered by the police in this country. And how many times have we seen these police officers brazenly murder people on film and then have no charges brought against them, or if there are charges brought against them, they're found not guilty by a jury of their peers? So I think if you're going to ask the question of was this all worth it, the answer really depends on how society ultimately reacts to this. Like, do we actually begin to address the problems of police violence? So, I want to talk about something in terms of the effectiveness of these riots. So, on May 28th, Hennepin County Attorney, the Hennepin County Attorney, said that while Floyd's death was terrible, he also said that there was other evidence that does not support criminal charge. Other evidence that does not support a criminal charge. Those are his words on May 28th. May 28th. May 29th, the very next day, charges were brought against Derek Chauvin. Seems like a pretty dramatic turnaround, doesn't it? Well, what happened between May 28th and May 29th? Well, it was a giant night of fucking riots and fires and looting. So do you think that maybe the people in power said, fuck, we got to throw this guy over. We got to fucking throw this guy under the bus. Derek Chauvin's ass is not worth defending to the tune of the destruction of our city. So, it kind of shows me that a protest does not have to be well organized or carefully planned to send a very concrete and understandable message, which is basically this: if you continue to treat us like shit, we're going to fuck shit up, and you're not going to like it. Very simple message, very powerful message. So those who wish to preserve peace and order, and I think that's most of us, right? I mean, like I said, I love a good riot, but ultimately, would I rather live in a society where riots do happen or riots don't happen? Don't get me wrong, I think they're pretty. I like fire. I like chaos. But at the end of the day, I think that society is better off if there's no fucking riots. So why would I support the riots? Because a riot is it's going to happen. It's a natural thing that happens when people have been pushed to a certain fucking point. So the solution to me is, let's not condemn the riots. Let's fucking not push people to the point where they feel the need to riot. So what would have pushed the black community in America to feel this way? Let's explore that. So, this is an article that Vosh looked at on his stream, but I'm going to reiterate it. I'm going to do some copycat bullshit. So this is from Minneapolis, the city where this all began. So, black people including African Americans, black people, including African Americans and East African descent, make up 18% of the population of Minneapolis and 40% of the stops included in MPD's dashboard. When it comes to investigative stops, which theoretically require a reasonable suspicion of misconduct, black people were stopped more than twice as often as whites. In instances where the person was searched, 62% were black. In vehicle searches, 63% of people whose cars were searched were black. 44% of those stopped for moving violations, and 53% of those stopped for equipment violations were black. 51% of the people on the receiving end of citations were black, and 57% of people booked as part of an arrest were black. So, we can talk about, oh my God, there's so much more criminality in the black community or whatever, but that wouldn't really have much bearing on this particular set of statistics, right? Because we're talking about traffic stops. The cops can't legally pull you over for being black. That's not something they're actually allowed to do. They're not allowed to see a black person and go, I'm going to pull them over. They actually have to pull you over because you are violating some sort of traffic law. So unless the contention here is that black people are disproportionately violating traffic laws, which I don't think they are, I think that they drive about the same as everybody else, this is evidence of a fucking bias here. We also have over here the statistical fact that black men are 2.5 times more likely than white men to be killed by the police. Like, if the police in this country were predominantly black dudes and they killed white people 2.5 times more often than they killed, their fellow black people, do you think white people in America might kind of have a problem with that? Do you think that your fucking racist uncle might have an issue with that state of affairs? Do you think he might fucking be anti-cop a little bit? Maybe. So there's a racial disparity in marijuana arrests. This is being reported by Normal, who's also referencing the ACLU here. A 2020 analysis by the American Civil Liberties Union concluded black people are 3.64 times more likely than white people to be arrested for marijuana possession, notwithstanding comparable usage rates. In every single state, black people were more likely to be arrested for marijuana possession, and in some states, black people were up to 6, 8, or almost 10 times more likely to be arrested. In 31 states, racial disparities were actually larger in 2018 than they were in 2010. So, on average, a black person is 3.73 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana possession than a white person, even though blacks and whites use marijuana at similar rates. Such racial disparities in marijuana possession arrests exist in all regions of the country, in counties large and small, urban and rural, wealthy and poor, and with large and small black populations. Indeed, in over 96% of counties with more than 30,000 people in which at least 2% of the residents are black, blacks are arrested at higher rates than whites for marijuana possession. So even in fucking counties that are almost entirely white, and even though the fact is that black people and white people smoke marijuana at about the same rate, black people are way more likely to be arrested for it. More likely to be pulled over, more likely to fucking be shot by the police or killed in some other way, more likely to be arrested for marijuana usage. I mean, there's also the fucking fact of poverty, right? Can't ignore that. A close examination of wealth in the U.S. finds evidence of staggering racial disparities. At $171,000, the net worth of a typical white family is nearly 10 times greater than that of a black family, which is $17,150 in 2016. Gaps in wealth between black and white households reveal the effects of accumulated inequality and discrimination, as well as differences in power and opportunity that can be traced back to this nation's inception. The black-white wealth gap reflects a society that has not and does not afford equal opportunity to all of its citizens. Okay. So, let's talk about poverty, and let's talk about police. So let's talk about police first, because that seems to be the main issue at hand here, right? So I'm no fucking policy expert. I'm no political whiz. I don't read much political theory. I don't know much about what the fuck I'm talking about. And I'll just preface anything I'm about to say by saying that. This is just one man's ideas. I'm not any sort of particular expert in much of anything. So you'll have to take these ideas on their own fucking merit. But here's some things I think could be done to fix the state of policing in America. For all of us, not just for black people. I want to be all-encompassing with this because I've seen plenty of white people get shot too by fucking crazy cops. Although I don't think it's as big of a problem, it's still a fucking problem. Anybody who's wrongfully killed by the police is a fucking problem. So, number one, police should be mandated to wear body cams at all times. All times. If some shit goes down and the body cam mysteriously stopped working or was lost just before the shit went down, that should be an assumption that that cop is fucking guilty of doing some fucking shit wrong. And if there, I mean, like, maybe we need to preserve a presumption of innocence for the courts, but as far as, like, him keeping his job goes, he should be fired. Instantly. Instantly. Most police in this country should not be armed. Yeah, I know. I know it's very un-American. Like, oh my God, they'll be defenseless. No, they won't. Most of them are not, like, if you talk to most cops, most of them say, you know, I've never even drawn my gun in the line of duty. Okay, well then most of you don't fucking need it. I agree. Certain cops, in a country where there's guns, certain cops need guns. But do all cops need guns? No. Do most cops need guns? No. Police should be under the direct oversight of a civilian review board that's elected by the community that they police. They should be accountable to elected officials who are chosen as representatives of the community. Police should have to live in the communities that they fucking police. So you guys might not know this. I didn't know this until very recently. In about 2/3 of U.S. cities with the largest police forces, the majority of police officers commute to work from another town. Think about that. Think about that from a fucking mentality perspective, right? So, you know, if you're out there policing your own fucking community, then you have ties to that community. You have a vested interest in the fucking success of that community. You know that it's not in the best interest of your community if you go around abusing people. And also, you don't want to make that many enemies in your own fucking town, even if you're a cop. So, you show a little bit more restraint when it's your own community you're policing. But if you're fucking living in the suburbs and you're commuting to work to go police some fucking, urban area in the city, like, what do you give a fuck about it? Right? To you, and I mean, some of these cops, I mean, you hear it when you fucking watch these shows like Live PD or something, or when you talk to a cop, you know, they view these as like, it's a war out here. It's a war zone. And so many of them approach it with the mentality of a fucking soldier. And it's not helped by the fact that they're coming in from somewhere fucking else. That's not where they live. That when they lay their head on the fucking pillow, it's not going to be in that same town where they just fucking beat up a bunch of people. Right? They need, if you want to fucking law enforcement to have a strong connection to the community it polices, then they have to live there. They have to live in that community. They have to be part of that fucking community. They have to have ties to that community. They have to have a vested interest in that community. Because if they don't, then it's just like, I'm here as a soldier in a war zone or whatever. And that reminds me, speaking of war, you got to end the war on drugs. You know, so much of the violence that has besieged the inner city is due to gangs. And so many of these gangs are funded by the prohibition of drugs. Like, we saw during the prohibition of alcohol, murder went way up, skyrocketed. Because if you're running an illegal enterprise, like bootlegging or like drug dealing, you can't call the police when something doesn't go right for you. You can't rely on the law as a method of enforcement. Your business is not legal, right? So you have to enforce things through other means, and usually the means of enforcement are violence, grotesque violence. Like anybody who's ever read a book about like any sort of mafia figure, I mean, like how many murders are you going to read about in that book? And why are there so many murders in the fucking Italian mafia at the height of it, especially at the height of its fucking popularity? Because that's how things are enforced in those kind of fucking groups. If you're running a criminal enterprise and you have to fucking enforce your fucking rules, then the only way to do that is through violence. You don't have a fucking jail you can lock someone in. Like, oh shit, Big Tony stole my fucking cocaine. I gotta put him in prison for fucking, 5 years. That doesn't happen. Big Tony's sleeping with the fucking fishes. You know what I mean? So it's the same in these fucking, urban areas with these fucking gangs, Crips, Bloods, whatever the fuck else. They're running an illegal fucking business. They're slinging fucking drugs. And that just leads to fucking violence and bloodshed and, gang wars and, gangs who have as their initiation ritual, you got to kill someone so that you're in with us or whatever, all that stuff. Like that shit, you got to cut off the source of their funding, and it's drugs. We're never going to fucking win the war on drugs. Americans are always going to want to take recreational fucking drugs. So regulate it, legalize it, tax it. Do the same thing with all these substances that you did with marijuana, and make it available for the people who want it. And, maybe put some of the money back in a treatment program so that the people who get addicted can fucking get the help they need. I don't know what you do with the money. But there's a huge tax base out there. You can make sure the drugs are safe. You can, make sure that whoever's selling the drugs is licensed to do so and is abiding by certain federal standards and guidelines. And you undercut the profit motive of these gangs, and they will dissolve. And you will end much of the violence that racks our inner cities. That's not 100% a police thing, but, it's kind of tangentially related. So the police need to be demilitarized. We have a militarized police force here with tanks and assault weapons and battle armor and all this shit. Now, look, I understand there are certain situations where the cops are going to need some heavy-duty shit. But how often does that really happen? Like, when we send in a SWAT team, most of the time it's for stuff that you could have just sent, one plainclothes officer could have handled that, or even one officer in uniform and his partner backing him up could have handled it. But they send in a whole fucking SWAT team because they know if they don't use it, they're going to lose it, right? So they got to act like it's justified to send a SWAT team into some dude's house because they think he's slinging crack or something. Like, what, you think he's got a fucking army in there? You think this guy is fucking, what's the name of that fucking famous drug kingpin? I can't fucking remember it. But, he's not fucking some kind of crazy master criminal with a fucking bunch of thugs and fucking AK-47s and whatever else. Like, if you got that situation, sure, send in the SWAT team. But so many times we hear about SWAT teams busting into fucking some old lady's house or something because they suspect her son of fucking dealing rock or some bullshit. That's not, you don't need a SWAT team for that. All you need to do is wait for the dude to come out of his house to go fucking drive over to fucking Burger King or some shit and, park behind him in the Burger King parking lot and fucking snatch him up. You don't need to fucking come in guns a-blazing, firing tear gas, shooting the fucking family dog and all that bullshit. That's got to stop. It's got to stop. SWAT teams should be for, situations where they're actually necessary. We need to get rid of any ex-military that are serving on police departments. I'm sorry. I know that that's a big job that people who are ex-military get into, but they just come into it with the wrong fucking mentality because we're trying to get rid of that war zone mentality. We're trying to get rid of that mentality of this is Fallujah again. Like, it's not fucking Fallujah. This is America. This is an American city filled with American citizens that you have a duty to protect, not to oppress. So, the military mentality, has to, it has to be excised, and that means no ex-military serving on the police force. The minimum age for becoming a cop should be raised to something like 25, because a young dude just has too much fucking testosterone, doesn't know enough about the world, too much of that fucking pent-up anger and fucking shit kicker mentality. Wait till a person starts to calm down and mature before you fucking start talking about giving them ultimate authority over other people. We need to start treating the cops who report misconduct like heroes. We need to fucking like shit our pants with, like, I know it should just be something that they do, but it's not going to be that way unless we treat them like fucking heroes. Every time a cop fucking comes out and, he says, hey, there's some fucked up shit going down at the precinct. I saw my fellow officer doing this. Instead of treating that person like a snitch and maintaining this blue wall of silence where every cop protects every other cop, we got to start treating that motherfucker that comes forward with some shit like that as like the greatest hero ever. You're amazing. You're wonderful. You're the best. You're the best cop ever. You're fucking, here's a cookie. You get free fucking Starbucks coffee for life, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, we got to start treating those cops who do come forward like they are the greatest fucking thing in the world. Because it needs to be so fucking incentivized. Another thing is just stop pumping cops full of fucking fear. Have you watched the training videos they make these guys watch? It's like nothing but a litany of like, here's all the threats you will face. And that's why every cop, you watch them on these shows, like, I'm just trying to get home safe at the end of every day. And by the way, look, being a cop's a stressful fucking job. It's fucking stressful. I know. Because you really are dealing with some fucking unsavory shit. Some horrible shit that'll fucking, give you, it's going to fuck you up after a while, right? Like, how many fucking times are you going to show up to a dude that beat the shit out of his fucking wife, or, some fucking dude, beat the shit out of his kids, or a murder scene, or whatever the fuck? How many times are you going to see that shit, see the ugliest, worst side of humanity before you fucking get fucked up in the head by it? And that's why cops should have huge amounts of paid leave. Like, we should make sure once we put the this isn't all just manacles for the cops, all right? I'm not just like, we need to restrain them in every way possible and they need to be subject to all this shit. Like, we also need to make sure that these motherfuckers are comfortable, well-adjusted. If they fucking experience some on-the-job trauma, they should be able to walk away and take a nice fucking month-long vacation somewhere and chill out and get their head straight and reevaluate and be calm and fucking maybe talk to somebody if they need to. I know not everyone likes therapy, but if they like it, they could talk to a therapist. If not, they could just kind of like have some time to process the shit they've seen in the world and to kind of like reconnect with, what's important in life, and have some introspection and have some fun with their fucking families and shit, so that they're not fucking like constantly fucking traumatized and fucking scared. Like, how many times have we seen at first I was pissed. I did an episode of Deep Fat Fried where we talked about cops, and I saw a cop, like this dog came up to him, and it's the dog's just wagging his tail, this friendly little fucking dog, this pit bull. It wasn't an aggressive pit bull. It was a friendly pit bull wagging his tail, interested to see the cop, just walking up, curious. Cop fucking shoots it in the head. You know why? And at first I'm like, this is because cops are pieces of shit. They're all just evil motherfucking pieces of shit. They're all awful. But, like, if I'm going to give if I'm going to look at the protesters and the rioters and stuff and say, like, what these people, I understand why these people want to burn shit down. I really fucking get it. If I'm going to say, like, the stress of their lives has brought them to this point, then I have to acknowledge that a motherfucker that, like, just instantly shoots a dog that's walking up to it friendly, like, that person is, like, on the frayed fucking edge of sanity. That person is like so filled with fear and terror and just like dread and tension. Like, that shouldn't be what being a cop in America's like, okay? So we need to fucking do some stuff to help our cops to fucking not be traumatized, to not fucking feel like they have to have a hair trigger, to not feel like they're constantly like under assault and that the enemy is out there on the streets and that they're in a fucking war zone. Because that mentality is what leads to this shit, guys. A lot of it anyway. Now, some of it is just power tripping asshole cops. But I think a lot of this is because cops are so pumped with fucking fear and so pumped with fucking stress. So we got to do something to help out those cops as well. All right. I got a few more things here. I'm not exactly sure what I got. Okay, so this is more about poverty here. So let's look at some poverty levels. This is black families in poverty from 2005 to 2018. So obviously we see black poverty under Bush actually goes down. But then, unfortunately, the 2008 market crash happens, and it shoots back up. And then Obama, around, looks like 2012, starts to implement some policies and stuff. Now, obviously, we can't totally just tie this to who's president. Like, there's a lot of other factors going on. But, like, if we're just going to, ascribe it directly to the president. About midway through the Obama years, starts going down, continues to go down under Trump. Now, I'm sure because of COVID-19, this is going to skyrocket back up, unfortunately, because we're at 25% unemployment right now, and I bet you a lot of those were black people. But let's compare it to white people. So percentage of families in poverty. So this is black versus all U.S. Percentage of families in poverty, 22.9% of black families are in poverty compared to 11.3% of overall United States. People with children under 18 years old, 32.1% of black people are impoverished. 18% of America overall. Married couple families, 8.2% of blacks, 5.6% overall. With children under 18. Wait, with children under 18. Oh, okay, they're talking about married couple families. Okay. 10%, 10.8%, 8.2%. Female with no spouse, 37% impoverished. Female with no spouse with children under 18 who are impoverished, 46.1%. That's a shit ton of, poor single moms out there. Now, of, female with no spouse, even on the general population, not great outcomes. Male with no spouse, 23.7%, 19.4% compared to the 19.4% for the overall population. Male with no spouse with kids, 31.2% of black men with no kids who are single. Are under poverty, and 27.6%. It's just, I guess it's just really hard in general for a single parent household to make ends meet in America, but it seems to be a little bit harder if you're black. Here's a longer history of black poverty. You see back in the 60s, sky high. I mean, there's been improvements. Seems to go down a lot in the 90s. Started going down a little bit more. This only goes to 2014, which the other chart kind of goes a little bit more into it. And this is the overall. So the higher this is, the higher the poverty rate is. So, okay, we already looked at that. I don't have any solutions, though, to the poverty issue. Although I thought I did write some down. I don't know. They're not in my notes. So I guess I didn't do that. But I think if I'm just going to kind of go off the cuff with it, like, you need to make investments in impoverished communities, right? Like, I don't want to tie it to race stuff because I don't want it to be an excuse for racists to have some talking points. I just want it to be like, if there's a poor community, we need to fucking do some stuff to lift it out of poverty. Now, is that disproportionately going to help black people? Yes. But, I think it absolutely has to be done. Like, we can't have this fucking this resentment-filled underclass in America of people who just, can't make ends meet, fucking live paycheck to paycheck if they've even got a fucking paycheck. They're on government assistance. They live in fucking ramshackle piece of shit houses. They live in crime-infested fucking communities. Everything about their lives just fucking sucks compared to, the norm of society. this has to be addressed. Like, there's never going to be, like, how can you, like, just go to a fucking slum in America? Like, go to a fucking depressed, slummy area anywhere in this fucking country, look around, and ask yourself, like, if I lived here, you know, would I eventually get to the point of fucking agreeing, like, of rioting, or at least fucking protesting or demonstrating or something? Like, would I be content if this was the status quo of my fucking existence? Most people are not going to want that. I know there's poor people watching, by the way. I know there's people out there for whom this is not a hypothetical. I know there's people watching right now who do live in poverty. Some are white, some are black, some are Latino, some are fucking Asian, maybe. I don't know, Asians. You guys tend to do pretty well, but maybe. I even knew some fucking poor people who were Jewish, you know, and like the stereotype about Jews is they got all the money, you know? There's people of every fucking racial background, ethnicity, whatever the fuck, who are poor and who live in fucking squalor and misery and just, you know, have no fucking hope. They don't fucking have any sense that there's any escape from the suffocating poverty that crushes them every fucking day. And as a result, the fucking social bonds in their community are much weaker in some ways, stronger in some ways, but in a lot of ways weaker. And there's a lot more of a fucking, like, because look, if there's no good jobs in your area, then you start to look at fucking like, hey, I'm going to do the jobs that, you know, like, there's not much chance that a middle-class fucking white kid living in the fucking suburbs is like, I'm going to start slinging crack rock. Is it because he couldn't make money doing that? Of course he could make money doing that. You can always make money selling fucking drugs. But he doesn't do that because he has something to lose, right? He doesn't want to lose his nice life. And there's not a tremendous impetus for him to do that because he's going to go to college one day and he's going to get a, you know, bachelor's degree in fucking, you know, chemistry, and he's going to, you know, learn how to make the glue that they fucking use to seal the ice cream containers or whatever the fuck. He's got a future. He's got some, you know, he's got a future and he's got a present. He's got a present worth preserving and a future worth believing in. So he's not going to fucking do the illicit, fringe, criminal shit that might land him in trouble. But if you're a poor fucking kid, and we'll use a black person for the example because we just saw statistically they are more broke. So if you're a poor black dude, same age as the hypothetical white kid, and you live in a fucking, you know, ramshackle piece of shit old building that probably should have been fucking condemned, and you ain't got no future as far as you can see. There's certainly, you know, your mama ain't fucking saving up no money for college because, you know, you're lucky to even be able to fucking put food on the goddamn table. So you ain't getting that fucking bachelor's degree in chemistry, even if you are smart. So what are you going to do to make some fucking money? What are you going to do to lift yourself out of poverty? That crack rock selling option looking a little bit more appealing from that fucking perspective, doesn't it? So poverty generates crime. You know, and in fucking rural white areas, maybe just replace black with white and crack with meth, and it's the same fucking situation. This is, you know, it's poverty that creates this. And we live in a country with the greatest wealth disparity at any time in fucking history, at any time on Earth. Maybe not any time in history, because there have been some time, like there have been some times when people were literally like, I am a serf and I own nothing, and everything I own, everything I manage, like my house and my farm, is all owned by my feudal lord. So I guess I can't say it's the greatest wealth disparity in history. That's a little bit hyperbolic. But the wealth disparity in this country is awful. It's to the point where we're talking about people who are living in fucking hovels selling crack or meth or whatever the fuck the popular drug in their fucking level of the, you know, whatever their geographic region is, you know. Like, those people exist. But then there's also people who have enough wealth to literally pull every single one of those people out of poverty tomorrow if they wanted to. I mean, who's defending that to me? Who's fucking defending that? And why? What sense does it make to defend that as the status quo? If you defend that status quo to me, then don't tell me you're against riots. You're not against riots because you're totally in favor of everything that creates riots. You know, this is like a motherfucker that pours a glass of milk and then puts chocolate syrup in it and then stirs it and then says, "Oh, I don't like chocolate milk." Well, then why'd you make it, stupid? All right, now it's time for Streamlabs and Super Chats. Thank you guys for listening. We're going to read our Super Chats. We're going to read our Streamlabs. We're going to answer some questions. We're going to talk to some people. And it's going to be good. It's going to be real tasty. We don't actually need that view. We need this one. So let's get to it. Oops. Sorry about that. I think we're here. Okay. How many people are watching this shit anyway? Sorry. Keep burping. Damn, 3,000 something. This is a fucking popular one. Okay. So we're going to start with our donations. Then we're going to move on to the Super Chats. And by the way, a lot of people do check out at this point in the video. This is where it gets a little bit more boring, I think. But, you know, I do want to give props to everyone who contributed to keeping this channel going and this stream profitable. Because obviously, you know, otherwise I had to get a real job and then I couldn't rant and rave like this. So I'm going to go ahead and give this page a refresh and we'll start going through some of the ones that have come in. Sorry for these sniffles, by the way. Minneapolis governor, who is a Dem, has deployed the National Guard armed with live rounds. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Look, what do you think was going to happen? I mean, like, do you really think that they're going to, like, you know, eventually the Empire strikes back? Doesn't matter what party we're talking about. They're going to go right. I mean, like, just think about how quickly these motherfuckers went from, like, virtue signaling. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. And then, you know, a few days of fucking destruction. They're like, you know what? Black lives don't matter. Send in the fucking armed thugs. Quell this fucking rebellion quick. I can't deal with this anymore. Fuck the police. Gave 666. Said, thank you for making this video, TJ, and spreading awareness of the police brutality that is currently rampant throughout the country right now. Amen, brother. Keep fighting that good fight. And don't let the fucking bootlickers control the narrative. Oxygen Thief 00 gave 666. It says, in the video of the cops shooting someone on their porch, you can hear the cop say, light them up right before. More of that toxic soldier mentality. Absolutely. I wish I could have got the audio to fucking play on that. I don't know what the fucking problem was there. Because I played it a bunch of times before, and I swear it fucking played audio. Okay, here we go. You know what? We're gonna watch that video again with the fucking audio playing, so that people can really get a fucking grip on what the fuck is going on here. So this is a bitch. Okay. Really soak this in, guys.
Keep coming.
Go inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get in your house now! Let's go!
This could be your neighborhood.
Go inside now! Get in the house!
Get in. Get in. Oh, God, that hurt.
That could be your neighborhood, guys. Don't think it couldn't. It totally could. Hey, kid. Gave 666 and said, let me reframe my question. Do you think this will spark riot/protests on the looting of our country by Congress and a corporate menace? I'm sorry. Let me try to read this. It's a little weirdly worded. Let me reframe my question. Do you think this will spark riots, protests on the looting of our country by Congress and corporations and corporate America. Big boob and dongs make me jizz. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, guy, but I'm glad for your money. Thank you. Mike gave 666. I am going to put a stop to all this. I don't care how long it takes or if it kills me. Well, I hope it doesn't kill you, but we're all with you. At least I am. I'm sure a lot of people are as well. Overlord Cobra gave $11 and says, "Hey TJ, hope all is well today. Was curious if you'd made progress on your hash browns. Did they meet your standards yet? Hope so. Peace." I haven't done my hash browns in a while. I did make them for a 4th time, and I've decided that I need to change the kind of potato I'm doing them with. I saw Gordon Ramsay do them with some waxy potatoes. I'm only able to find russets very easily and red potatoes, which I don't think red potatoes would be right for hash browns at all. So I need to find a particular kind of potato. But we'll see. That guy gave $10 and said, the United States social climate is exactly the same today as it was 100 years ago. Today is the 99th anniversary of the Tulsa riot, where white supremacists and National Guardsmen bombed and pillaged the black residents of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah, I would recommend people look into that story if they don't know about it. That's some crazy shit. Okay, I lost my place. Sorry. Okay. Mike gave 666, says, I've been out of the loop with politics. What the fuck is going on? I am so glad that I decided to leave the right now. Yeah, you should be, because they've gone full fashy. Adrian, 666. Along with my mom and pop shops not having the money insurance to come back from the riot, this is also happening after a lot of them had their worst financial months in years due to COVID-19. Absolutely correct. And that's why we sympathize with the mom and pop shops, and we do not want them harmed. And, I hope that somehow, the condemnation of that's happening gets out there into the ethos of the protesters and the rioters, and they start to protect these small businesses. It's really the corporate businesses I think they should be going after. Area 51 escapee gave $15 and says, did you hear the Amish showed up to the protest? I'm sure Weird Al would be proud. I had no idea. I didn't know the Amish ever interfered in our politics. I thought they kind of just like, we're on our own. You do your thing. Dog and Pony gave 666, says, I'm truly amazed at the mental pretzels people twist themselves into to defend the police injustice and power structure that could give two donkey nuts about them. It's identical to a religion/cult. Yeah, I mean, I said in my video, I love riots, that capitalism, at least as it exists in America, is a death cult. And I think that it's just, it's becoming more and more apparent to me. That guy gave 666, says, Styx is a coward. You know he won't debate anyone after he got dusted by Kyle Kalinske. You're thinking of Razor Fist, actually. As far as I know, I've never heard of Styx debating anyone, which is fine, because I really don't debate people either. I mean, if he doesn't want to debate, then just say you don't want to debate. But, he was coming all big as this debate lord for a while, and then, he turns out he really wasn't. So I don't know. Just don't put yourself out there as that if that's not what you want to do. Not everyone wants to debate. I'm personally no good at it. I suck at debates. I'll tell you that right now. I get way too emotional, and I get fucking pissed. Eliminated Isaac gave 666, says, keep up the great work, TJ. The fans of yours who want you to be a basic reactionary channel miss the point of your influence. There are far more of us out there who enjoy your thoughtful content. Don't let the petulant viewers stop you. I won't. JPEG gave 666. Why don't lefty YouTubers go after Steven Crowder more often? He is the most popular conservative on YouTube, and a lot of his takes are fucking dumb, easy content. The dude's threatened to. Well, he didn't threaten me with a lawsuit, but it's a long story. But he's very litigious, and also he can be kind of protective of his copyright. Although it looks like people are getting away with it pretty often these days. So I don't know. Maybe he doesn't give a shit anymore. Olio 111, he gave 111. One of my favorite YouTubers is Burger Krieg. I'm sure you'd be interested in him. He gave a link. M37F, the Plant God, gave $10. It says, he admits to belittling and committing fallacies just to make the audience perceive the other person is wrong despite no arguments actually being made. Okay. Who are you talking about? Oh, okay. That's part 2 of a 2-part thing. This is also from the Plant God, given $10. Vosh is disingenuous because he admits his only purpose is to win an argument without actually engaging in discourse. Discourse AIA? Ben Shapiro? Oh, I think you're trying to say a la Ben Shapiro. Okay. A la Ben Shapiro in your video, Ben Shapiro's 10 ways to argue with himself. Yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe after I've soaked in more of Vosh's content, I'll discover that there's some validity to your statement, but I haven't seen that so far. Olio gave $10, says, I'm a Russian hacker, so I don't have much of a horse here, but one of my best friends is a New Yorker. I love him. Are you reading all the super chats, or is there a cutoff? I'm going to read them as many as I can. And I try to read them all, but, like, sometimes they just keep coming in even as I'm doing the show, and it's, like, really hard to do. Hackade gave $27.33. Do you think these protests are mainly about anger towards the police, or that the biological and economic crisis was kindling and has finally lit the flame? Big butts make me nuts. This guy always wants to end with a big butt thing. I guess I asked for it by making all of my Streamlabs and Super Chats tethered to gigantic jiggling asses, which I refuse to apologize for. Do I think they're mainly about anger towards the police? Yeah, I think they're about anger about just, like, not being listened to. I think that, if you feel like you don't have a voice in society, sometimes you feel like you have to do something drastic to get heard at all. Vote for Legal Weed gave $6.66. By the way, great name. TJ, your last stream's detailed analysis of voting arguments left out one you've previously made. If Trump wins, the left has another shot at the White House in 2024, but if Biden wins, they won't for a while. Has your stance here changed? If so, how? I just realized that the left has a lot of fucking house cleaning to do. They got a lot of organizing to do. And I don't know that we're going to be ready in 4 years, so I don't know that it makes much of a difference. I don't see there being some ideal candidate to run in 2024, even if it was another 4 years of Trump. I think maybe we need the 8 years of Biden to fucking lick our wounds and get it together. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I think either way, we got to fucking, you just got to fucking, the most important thing is whoever's in the White House, keep fighting for progressive values. Olio1 said, love you, though. Waiting for the next chapter of your latest book. Oh, God. I hope you don't have to wait too much longer. Olio2 gave $12.30 and said, the Dick Show is a fairly right-wing audience. You should go and spread the word of the left thigh and whatnot. Okay. Jimothy Slimps, sharing from Minneapolis. When the curfew started, a gang of Klansmen, mafia men, pigs, showed up on my block. They screamed at one of my neighbors to get inside and began lighting him up as he yelled he couldn't get in, and arrested him. Shit. I wish you had video. Nyexus Crypt gave $6.66. Says, I hung out with local Antifa for one night, filmed the cops, was followed to and from work by police every day for 2 weeks. They flaunted it. Cops are terrorists. That's terror for committing no crime. Oh, but you talked to the wrong person. Cynical Citizen gave $27.33. Hey, TJ, been a fan for a while. Love you guys. Hope I can be one of the first to see your slasher film. Oh, yeah, I'd love to make a slasher movie. I want to make a slasher movie that's just called The Amazing Atheist Kills a Bunch of People. Beyond Philosophy gave $20. Says, TJ, well, I'm getting a lot of these today. This is the last one, though, from not the last one overall, but the last donation. TJ, it'd validate my miserable existence if I could watch you react to my YouTube video. Time travel is useless on stream. New channel trying really hard. Okay, well, go ahead and send me the link to it on my Twitter, and I will take a look. I usually do not like to do this, but I'll give it a consideration. All right, so I'm going to read a few that came in since I was doing this. Just a couple. Any more thoughts on the accelerationism that Paul described? It seems Trump is who America deserves. If voters pick Biden over Bernie, not maliciously, I lived in poverty since 2000, but the planet is dying, and it seems like up to 16 years is too long to wait. That's Cunty Cat giving 1111. I don't know about the accelerationism thing. I think that, it also kind of, it might bring us closer to some sort of leftism, but I think it also brings us closer to fascism. And I think that we've seen both of those things. I think we've seen like some of the stuff that was bubbling underneath the surface in American politics is just coming right up to the surface right now. And there's really no way to hide who you truly are. The people who are trying to maintain some sort of centrist position at this point just look increasingly ridiculous. Dark Daxter version Z gave 666, says former white boy. Holy shit, we got a transracial person here. I don't think that's what we meant. Former white boy from the suburbs. I may not relate completely to the poverty, but because of abuse and neglect, I understand the feeling of having no future and literally no one around you giving a shit. These people have no empathy. There needs to be a path forward. Absolutely. And sorry for what you went through. Let's read some super chats. Jonathan Reddy gave $1.99 and says, do you think Trump is worse than President Bush? I think he's worse than Bush in some ways and better than others. No, he hasn't led us into a foreign war that cost, millions of lives. So I think Bush is always going to top him on that. It's going to be hard to top the evil of Bush. Let's not even fucking tempt him to try. Easier Zigzag gave $4.99 and says, stay cool. I've never been cool. I mean, look at me. I fucking look like a low budget fat Darth Maul. I'm never gonna be cool, so I can't stay cool. Hunter Lee gave $10 and says, keep the asses jiggling. Hell yeah, my brother. The Robot Chicken MLP gave $5 and says, it wasn't the Amish. I wish it was joining the protest. It was the Church of God. Okay, cool. Church of God. Squatting Bear gave $5 and says, did you see the clip of that guy that shot a protester with a bow and arrow? And when he got whipped, he blamed it on two fictional black guys. I saw the guy, yeah. I've also seen a bunch of people, defending that guy like he was some kind of innocent fucking victim when he was shooting people with a bow and arrow, for fuck's sake. Mateo32 gave $5, didn't say shit. Samtar gave $1, didn't say shit. That's the guy that made my song, by the way, that opened this up, my little intro song. Joel C gave $5, says, do you like vermouth on its own and chilled? I think it tastes like delicious alcoholic potpourri. I don't really think I've ever actually tried vermouth. So I think maybe I should try it. Joshua Zhang said, gave $2 and says, Bezos is a millionaire 140,000 times over. Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Zap Capsh gave $5 and said there was a semi that tried to run over protesters on Highway 35 in Minnesota. Yeah, we covered it. Frank Lotorco gave $5 and said the French revolutionaries had the right idea. Heads on pikes around the Bastille incite change. I'm not going to express any sentiment one way or the other about what you just said. X D Mighty Boosh X gave $20 and says love from Des Moines, TJ. Love from fucking Louisiana, my brother. Daniel Schmidt gave $2 and says I very much like your stream formats lately. Thank you. I like the stream. I like the live stream format. It's kind of a little bit more exciting because more can go wrong. Sometimes, you can't, when you're doing a real video, when you're doing a fucking video that you're going to edit, you can make mistakes and it's like, whatever. Oh, fuck, I can't think of an example. Here, you got to fucking constantly keep talking no matter what. It's like, blah, 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 blah. And if sometimes I'll be like in the back of my head, like, you sound like a fucking moron. And I'll be like, nope, got to keep talking. Shut up, voice in my head, So it's fun though. It gives it like kind of a fucking edge of reality. I very much like your stream. I read that one. Your mom gave $2. It says TJ motherfuckers is They Live meets GTA. Okay, goddamn. Everyone's trying to get me to watch that movie. D. Henry gave $5 Canadian. Says considering corporatism was the first in line, they can no longer say they worry about the deficit all that much. I don't know if I get that, but hopefully someone out there does. Pong Master Fong gave $10. Says, would you ever review some Neil Breen films? He's made 5 professional-made films. Oh, they're very professional. I've actually reviewed one of them. I forget which one. I think it was Fateful Findings. It's quite a trip to watch. Michael Reed gave $5 Australian. Says, my last chat, my brother told me it's my fault I was mugged. You were mugged? Okay. It's hard to keep hope when you are blamed for your mugging. Okay, I think this guy sent a chat before this that said, so I was mugged 2 days ago. He's on Australia, by the way. The cops said they can't do anything because I didn't see the mugger, and because I live in Australia, pepper spray and batons, etc. are illegal. How should I defend myself? I lost my wallet and keys. I mean, that just sounds like you really need to fucking go to those cops and fucking continue to harass them until they fucking do something about it. I mean, like, I guess if you didn't see the mugger, it's kind of hard, but yeah, I'm not sure what you, I mean, like, you know, I'm not an expert on Australian criminal justice, and I'm not an expert on what sort of weapons Australians are allowed to carry with them, so I don't know. I think you should probably look into some sort of maybe self-defense classes or something. Black people need to stop committing crimes. It's said in that sarcastic lowercase, uppercase way, so it's not him trying to be racist. That's the Robot Chicken MLP giving $2. Mechanical Animals gave $1.99, said favorite Manson song, mine's The Love Song. I like Target Audience Narcissus Narcosis. And I also like Saturnalia. Those are probably my two favorites. Black Guy TV gave $4.99 and said, love you, TJ. Thanks for making this video. Thank you for watching it. Oh, no, it's him. Gave $1.99 and said, Chelsea the Imp turned me straight. Holy shit. It's a gay dude that's, like, making an exception for my wife. That's nice. Michael Reed gave $5 in Australian funny money and said, also, the cops will arrest you in Australia even if you use martial arts. Oh, fuck. Well, I don't know, dude. It sounds like you're just defenseless. Next time, just give them your whole house. Pong Master Fong gave $2 and said, Pablo Escobar. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. You son of a bitch. Slagbit gave $2 and said, the idea that body cams not obligatory is stupid. I think he's saying that it's stupid that we don't require that already, but I agree with that. Obviously. Favorites gave $4.99 and said, how does one get unblocked from Twitter? I follow Dustin. Just write me on Twitter. Get a fucking sock account and write me and say, hey, unblock this account, and I'll do it. I've not refused a single unblock request. Big SOS Man gave $2, says, does David Pacman deserve a job on MSNBC? No. I mean, not because, David Pacman deserves whatever he wants. I mean, he's good. I mean, he's a little bit, vanilla for me maybe, but I like him, and I wouldn't want him to see him go work at that fucking pile of shit news organization. Let's see, where was I? Okay, public service announcement: TJ Kirk is a servant of Lucifer. That's true. Big SOS Man again said, can you say, Bryce, your father is watching? I don't know what fucking weird fetish that's contributing to, but I guess I just said it. Rory's making a movie. $2 says, where do you see the country in a week/month? Oh God, I don't know. Like, things are, like, that's the thing about chaos. We've talked a lot in this stream about the chaos cube is fucking going. So the outcome is kind of like as randomized as, rolling a dice. There's no fucking, or a die, I guess, if it's singular. There's no fucking way to predict the outcome. Like, you're just going to have to fucking strap in. Nathaniel Lemon gave $4.20 and said, pew pew. Brian Audello gave $2 and says, I love son. I'm so proud of you. Thanks, Dad. Pong Master Fong gave $5. Says, here's $5 to donate to him. I mean, that was when I was talking about the guy who got his shop destroyed. And I hope some of you guys did donate to him, by the way. Jack Johnson gave $3.49 in New Zealand currency and said, what's your goal? What's the goal you want from these riots? I think I kind of answered that in my final section when I talked about the reforms that I think should be made to policing. J-Lord gave $5 in Australian money and said, I come from from policing in Australia. I can tell you, among cops here, yours are a laughing stock, a byword for unprofessionalism. Yeah, well, I just heard that your cops apparently don't fucking care when people are mugged, so, and they just like, we can't do nothing. So apparently your cops are kind of a joke too, buddy. No More Mr. Nice Guy gave $6.66, says, for once, many of these popo have something better to do than harass sex workers and assault them for having the audacity to smash for money. Wow. I wonder if this person's a sex worker or knows sex workers, because that seemed personal. Neon Spec there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I totally support sex workers. Neon Spec gave £5 and said, Marilyn Manson posted a cryptic Instagram post at the start of the year that read, you have no idea what is coming. How right he was. He was probably just trying to hype his new album, but sometimes Cheesehead or something. Wish it was Lester Holt to see him turn black. What? Stephen Fair gave $4.99 and says, it looks like Alex Jones was right. 1776 will commence again. Sam Tabatowski gave $5 and says, I saw NYPD running over protesters. There are a few videos of people running people over. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Vehicular crimes, not great. Jake Matter gave $2 and says, I was in the Seattle one. Shopping was fun. Okay, I think we know what he means when he says shopping. Hey, you could fucking afford to give me a little more. Give me some of that expropriated fucking material goods. Andrew Tomasi gave $5 and says, hey, TJ, I'm trying to write a satirical dystopian novel and have a 300... okay, so I have a problem with this already because, like, is there really any point in writing a dystopian novel anymore? Like, we're already in it. We're in it, man. Just write about the present at this point. Anyway, any writing advice? Yeah, actually write. Don't be like me. Actually write things. Adrian Gunter gave $5, says the cops that... Man, you guys were generous as fuck today. The cops that arrested that reporter looked like the Combine from Half-Life. I wish I knew what you're talking about. I'm sorry, I don't. Hunter Lee gave $10, says a few minutes ago a truck ran over some protesters in Minnesota. Thank you for that update. I did that. You're the reason that was covered, so I appreciate that. The Big Red Bear gave $10 Canadian, says, hey, TJ, during the Russian Revolution, the army fired on bread rioters, and it inevitably led to the soldiers themselves joining the protesters. Do you think the U.S. police has a threshold for that? I do. And we've already seen some protesters marching. We've already seen some police putting down their shit and marching with protesters. It's already happened. I think I just retweeted an example of it not too long ago, and there have been some cities where the police actually are on the side of the protesters, and shockingly, there's less violence in those cities, strangely enough. Pong Master Fung gave $10, says, as an atheist god, what would you want heaven to be like? I already told you. I answered that one on the spot. Fajal Makes Things gave €2 and says, really appreciate your content, TJ. Good as always. Thank you very much. J-Lord gave $5 Australian bucks. Says, TJ, if you have the cash, why not move down here to Sweden or any good country, e.g. one of the wealthier capitalist countries? Wheelfear, actually, capitalist countries? I don't know. I wanted to move to New Zealand, but, I found that it would be too difficult to do. Daniel Schmidt gave $5. It says, TJ, there's no way you haven't read Transmetropolitan. It feels just like what we're seeing. You remind me of Spider Jerusalem, just not quite as cool. I'm not even remotely as cool as Spider Jerusalem. And yeah, somewhere on that bookshelf behind me is quite a few of the editions of Transmetropolitan. I don't think I have the whole series anymore. I think I lost a few over the years, but I should probably try to get the whole collection. Yeah, by the way, that's a great one to read if you guys really want to fucking read something cool. Great comic book. Sprash Parimu. I don't know if I pronounced that right. 13% of the population, 50% of murderers. Cops racist? No. Well, it's amazing when racists give me money just to kind of like say racism, like, I'm going to be against you. Why would you want to give me money? You're funding like leftist causes right now. At least you're funding the leftist cause of me fucking, having more money. I don't know if that's actually a leftist cause. I'm starting to get a fucking little big for my britches here. But, I already explained. I mean, I think we already kind of went into why the murder rates are so high in the black community when we talked about, the prohibition of drugs and why, selling crack on the streets might be more appealing to a poor black kid than a, middle-class white kid, or in fact, why selling meth might be more appealing to a, poor white person than a, middle-class black person for that matter. Poverty is a bitch. The Great Lemon gave $5 Canadian and says, honestly, TJ, come to Canada. We might be cucked, but we ain't that stupid. If it's the true dream of America. Land of the not on fire, but not too free. Yeah, see, the thing is, I like the freedoms of America, but if we're going to start becoming like a fucking fascist police state bullshit, then I'm just going to get out. I'll come to Canada. I'll sneak in if I have to. I'll become a fucking illegal Canadian immigrant. Slagbit gave $5. Says, where do you think this is going to end? Do you think this rebellion will fizzle? I don't want to make any more predictions because every fucking prediction I've made about when this is going to wrap up has been wrong, so who knows? Daniel Steidel said, if Scotty and Paul's ego were both hanging off a cliff and you could only save one, who would you save? Fuck you. I'm not answering that. I'm not having an argument with them tomorrow. Oxygen Thief 00 gave 99 and said, watching these fascist police treat their fellow Americans this way makes me physically ill. It's like they've mistaken our cities for war zones. Yeah, I got into that, you know. I went right into, like, we're on the same page, brother. Brian Jones, $2, says, are the curfews legal? I'm not sure. You'd have to ask a lawyer about that. Special Eddie gave $5. Wow, there are so many today. Thank you, guys. Just had a group of POC men at a gas station fist bump me because I'm white. I challenge everyone to spread the solidarity of mankind in these times. Awesome. Yeah, let's do it. Eric Meadows gave $2. Says, what about the girl beaten with a 2x4, TJ? I have not heard of that one, so I'd have to look into it. Ryan Capshaw gave $4.99 and says, I keep seeing Is This the Revolution all over social media, and I can't help but hope, but I'm still kind of pessimistic about real change happening. It's more than likely an event that's going to lead up to some larger event in the future. But, like, you know, like when the Boston Massacre happened, it was a big fucking deal, but, you know, it wasn't like the fucking Revolutionary War was the next day, you know. Paul Master Fong gave $3 and says, you think these protests have agent provocateurs? Oh, yeah, we got to watch out for that. Go watch Vosh's video on it. He'll talk about it. I didn't really cover it today, but, yeah, agent provocateurs are a problem, and he has a video he just posted about that I think people should watch if they're interested in knowing about that issue and how it plays out. He's a little bit more moderate than me, honestly, on this riot. It's like, it's funny that he's like been accused of like, oh, you're so radical after you watch Vosh and shit. But it's like, I'm really fucking, I feel like I'm more extreme than him in most ways. Like, because, you know, he's been way more measured about these riots than I have. Lucas Levi? I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I'm so sorry. Gave $21.99 in euros and says, hey, TJ, do you also think that a famous actor like Tom Hanks or Chris Pratt is the only one who could get a third-party candidate with enough fame and money? Yeah, I think that a celebrity would have a much easier time of doing a third-party run than most people, but I still think it'd be a fucking resounding flop. Luke K gave $5 and says, hey, TJ, do you think George Floyd was killed because he was black? If yes, why? I you know, I can't know what was in the fucking head of that cop, but I think that, you know, I've never seen a video of a white dude getting his fucking neck leaned on like that. And, you know, I've seen other videos that are analogous, like of, you know, there was, I think it was Eric Garner, the guy that got choked out for selling cigarettes. Am I right about that? I don't know. I might be mixing names up, but, you know, I've seen videos where it's black dudes like this. It seems like, you know, but I know there's been white dudes that have been killed by the cops unjustly, like that dude who just brought, you know, he went to the door with his Wii remote in his hands, and they're like, he's got a gun, and they shot him. So, I mean, like, it's fucking nuts. I don't know if he was killed because he was black. I mean, I suspect that it might have been a factor. I don't know. I can't pronounce what your name is, but you gave $5 and says, the best part of the protest was Alex Jones' Hummer getting trashed. What? Wait, what? Did that happen? I'm down for that. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, my God. Okay. We're almost to the end of this. I enjoyed your I Love Riots video. Keep doing the good work. I will. That was from Joe Lopez. Shang Tsung gave $1.99 and says, what will happen if the cop is acquitted? More riots. Lonely Lucifer gave $2 and says, hey, MAGA chuds, comb over Caligula sucks. AD gave $5 and says, it's not just Bush, it's the soldiers too. Fascist war is nothing new. Armin Jafarov gave $2 Canadian and says, see the tweet of Javed Zarif. He's supporting BLM. Pongmaster Fong gave $5, says, bourbon has no carbs if you're worried about sugar in your drinks. Cool. Jason Dunn gave $1.99 and says, play the video of Biden sharding himself on camera. I think that's actually from a previous stream. I think we went through all these. I saw a few more came in. We're going to do one refresh on the super chats and one refresh on the donations. We're going to start with the donations, and after this, I'm not reading any more of the donations. Okay, so Fart LLC gave $10, and that's it, which means Fart LLC only pays you if you fart. I don't think I farted, so this might actually belong to someone else. Jimmy Slimp says, I wish I could have captured the entire event, but I caught the bare last seconds when they stormed through the back parking lot. I'll try to keep my phone ready if shit gets stupid tonight. I can even send you that shit on Twitter if you want proof. That's fine. Samuel the Stoned Ape gave $4.82 and says, the Burger Krieg is the guy who made the video calling you the greatest philosopher of some time period. Don't remember. It was a great video, and he's an awesome person. Cheers. Okay. Cunty Cat gave 666. Says, by the way, what would you need to shill a dog rescue? Thanks again. I wouldn't need much. I really like dogs. All right, now we're going to do a refresh on the Super Chats, and then we're wrapping it up. So, guys, if you just send a Super Chat after this point, it might not get read. All right, that one will because they didn't have enough time to hear me. But, beyond that. Okay. From Mike, who gave 666, I invite everyone to watch Pink Floyd The Wall. It's the single greatest anti-fascist masterpiece ever created. The album means the world to me. Yeah. But have you seen the Nostalgia Critic version? No, I'm just fucking joking. Okay, so that was a donation. Let's read the final string of Super Chats. Rowan Forster gave 20 Australian bucks. Says, I'm getting a lot of Australians in here lately. I think there was an Australian tourist in America who was shot dead for no apparent reason not too long ago. Doesn't surprise me. Secular Atheism Foundation gave $5. It says some nothing YouTube channel made a YouTube video on George Floyd. Have you seen it? What? I'm sure there's plenty of video channels that have made that. Mateo32 gave $5. It says no gods, no masters. Blue lives, murder, non-binary people are valid. That is all. See, that person's just using this as a sounding board. Jake Mater, $10, says, seems like the riots are chaos, but there is a code of ethics among each other. You don't take what someone has already stolen. It's non-uniform against the uniforms. The nicest people were the anarchists. I'm not saying that there's not a social order even present in riots, or there's not like rules of etiquette of being a rioter, but obviously they're a little bit relaxed from the normal standards. Zion of Western gave $5 and says, Ahmad Rashad had O.J. Simpson and Cosby as groomsmen at his wedding. How do you think the bachelor party went? I've received this comment from you before, I feel like. Or maybe it's just like a piece of copy pasta or whatever. Government gave $2. It says, this year turned me into an anarcho-communist. Well, hey, this year has done some wacky things, my friend. Fernando Lopez gave $4.99 and says, TJ, I can appreciate how unbiased you tackled the subject and get to the bottom of things. Never stop questioning. Yeah, but remember to even question me. Shigawire, NOK 200 says, keep the change, you filthy animal. Awesome. Slagbit gave $10 and says, if you had to call where it's all going with all the factors involved, I don't know, man. I think that we're going to see a major fucking crackdown on our civil liberties, and we're going to have to fight like hell to fucking get them back. What is this? Why is Scotty calling me? Don't call me right now. I'm busy. Unless there's something, I don't know. Hold on, I'll be right back. I have to take a fucking call. I gotta make sure this isn't important or something. It wasn't important. It was just they wanted to have a meeting tomorrow. All right, so let's wrap this up. Nicholas Castro gave $10 and said, I'm all for protesting and rioting, but what is a real change that could be implemented right now that would suffice to a huge amount of issues plaguing the justice system right now? I think I outlined some stuff that could be done as far as the cops go. I have more ideas. Maybe I'll get more. Maybe I'll do like a big justice system critique that I fucking do some like heavy research for as my next stream. I don't know. Logan Dials gave $1.99 and says, what is your favorite Nine Inch Nails album? Probably Pretty Hate Machine. D. Henry gave CA $5. That's Canadian money. Correction. The right claim they worry about the deficit when normal people need help, but corporations were first in line. Yeah. Can't really deny that. Hunter Lee gave $5, says, you ever take a really big dump that afterwards you're in so much pain that you keel over and take a moment to recover? This year. I've never had that happen. That sounds like a you problem. No Role Models gave $5 and says the police protested with the people in Camden, New Jersey. Yeah, that's pretty dope. Cliff Elor gave $14.99 and says, I just wanted to say thank you. You might not think so, but your voice is needed. Much appreciated. Thank you. Madison Meyer said, you look like the Bjork stalker right now. Lol. Thanks for the regular live streams and for sticking around YouTube for so long. Yeah, I'm just like glutton for punishment. Stefan Prive or Privy gave $2. Didn't say shit. Woes Edis gave $20 and says, isn't it just insane how white conservative Americans will cheer on police brutality against black Americans and yet don't realize it's only paving the way for the same to be done to them in the future? You know, I don't know what it's paving the way for, honestly. Daniel Kale gave $4.99 and says, how do you feel about that stuff that was today on Twitter regarding Epstein, Trump, Princess Diana, and other celebrities? I don't know. I'm not sure what you're referring to. I was really busy doing the research for this, so I might have missed some stuff. Tristan Clemens gave $10 and says, how do stupid Trump supporters not drive you insane? Who says they haven't? I live in Missouri, and I feel like the smartest man in the whole world around these idiots. That's why my theme song, I don't know if you guys noticed, but my theme song, like some people said it was like an ego trip song. Originally it was, but I made it where the verses are all about you guys. Like every verse of that song is about you guys. Maybe I'll play it again at the end since I know not everyone heard it. But, you know, every verse of that song is directed at you and about you. And the chorus is about me, but the lyrics, all the lyrics are about you. So I'll you know, you could probably just go back and listen to it, but it's the beginning of the stream. Do you think Trump is a worse president than Bush? Actually, we already read that one, so I think we're done. I will do one last courtesy refresh just in case anyone didn't realize we were cutting it off because of the delay there. I'm going to go ahead and just read that really quick. I think that this is the same fucking thing. Jacob Corneo gave $20, and he's the same guy that said thanks for the regular live stream to stick around and for sticking around YouTube for so. Oh, that's because I read it when it came up. That's what was going on. Revelation News gave $20. Says fuck Trump. He's a child predator. See Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. Yeah, I mean maybe you're right. I don't know. Does that have something to do with what was released earlier? I'll look into it. Blind Crow 666. Hey TJ, watch for 6 years but never commented. Your last video had street preacher energy. Really captured the frustration of being alive right now. Hopefully it wasn't street preacher energy because most people just ignore them and they're annoying. Rohan Forster gave $20. Okay, I definitely already read that one. Okay, so we're done. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Let me ask you guys this. I'll look at the stream for the answer here. Okay, I need to refresh it because it's way behind. I want to ask you guys, do you want me to play the theme song again, or do you want me to just go to the normal end screen? It's up to you. Do you get a chance to watch my short film? I haven't checked Twitter in a while. I don't know. Send it again. Just send it again. Anyone who wants to reach me, Twitter DMs are the best fucking place. Just fucking send it there. You guys want the theme song one more time, or you want the normal end screen? That's what I want to know. Theme song, end screen. Theme song, end screen. What do you want? Wrap it up however the fuck you want it to be wrapped up. Turn to Jesus. It's your only hope of salvation. Cool. Play again. Normal. Yes, yes. Theme song. Yes, both. Yeah, theme song. Yes, please. Theme song, theme song, theme song. I'm seeing more theme songs than not theme songs. So we're going to play the theme song, and then we'll get to the end screen, and then it's going to be... We're going to wrap it from there. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys. Stay fucking safe out there. It's a dangerous fucking world, and it's getting more dangerous by the second. And I appreciate each one of you guys for watching this shit. And remember, think critically. Don't fucking take anyone's word for it, not even mine, not even your own. I'm the Amazing Atheist. Peace. Fuck out.
I believe it, you will see it, the writing on the wall. It's for reason, not for malice, that we watch them fall. The amazing atheist, the amazing pit of destitute. The amazing atheist. The amazing atheist. Forging unity, the time is coming to annihilate the ignorant, peddling scum, breathing anger, exhale wisdom, suffocate the indifference. No more complacency. The amazing atheist. The amazing atheist.
All right. Once again, that song was by Samtar, and he linked that shit right down below in the description section. And, well, he didn't link it. I linked it. But, you know, his link to his Spotify is down there in the fucking comment section if you guys want to check out some of the other tunes he's made. And it's pretty good shit. And with that in mind, I want to say goodnight. Thank you guys for watching. And thanks for listening to the fucking theme song a second time. Sticking around long enough for that. And with that in mind, I want to once again wish you guys a good one and to stay safe out there.